You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Fantastic. Thank you, TCTV. Good evening. Time is now 6:30 p.m. I am Chairman Mike Curry, and I'd like to call the Select Board Business Meeting to order on this 27th day of April 2022. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that not only are we being streamed live on TCTV Cable Station 8 and our YouTube web platform, but this evening's recording will be available for later viewing on our YouTube web channel. Please make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. That way you'll be notified every single time an exciting thing happens in this community. Doing a quick roll call, I can see we've got a full house. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our quorum. As always, our agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out by law, and it is publicly available at our official source for town information, templetonma.gov. Although I have the discretion as chairperson to add and remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. I do reserve the right to move agenda items around to best fit our guests and business. Thank you. I was talking with Julie before the meeting. This quite possibly might be the largest agenda packet we've ever had. Holly was saying she could barely even fit it into the binder. So way to go, team. Continue to just break these barriers.
The last day we got to
Exactly.
get it all
Got it
in.
all in.
Get it all in before it's too late.
Okay, so we've got a couple of housekeeping. We just got one set of meetings from the April 6th meeting, which is in your packet, your giant packet. So two pages worth of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to admit those to the record.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the meeting minutes of 4/6/22 as presented.
Second. All right, I have a motion in a second. Any observations, amendments, or issues? Hearing none, on the motion to admit the meeting minutes for April 6, 2022. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Housekeeping complete. All right. At this time, I will call for any citizen input. Any citizen input at all?
Quite a group tonight.
Right. We start doing news, weather, and sports during citizens input. Okay, no citizens input. That brings us to new business. So our first order of business is where we have some introductions of new employees. This evening, I guess next time we'll do TCTV program coordinator, but the next one we have is senior services activities coordinator. Jackie, if you would like to do your introductions, that would be fantastic.
I want to introduce Denise Nankivell. Nankivell. We were all super impressed. She's our activities coordinator. We were impressed in the interview process with her friendly, outgoing personality and some super skills and great experience. And we're thrilled to have her be part of the team.
And I'm also very thrilled to be part of the team and very thrilled to be living in Templeton. I'm new to the town.
Okay.
And I look forward to making a contribution to the town.
That is super fantastic. I felt the same way when I moved to the community. I found everyone open arms, a lot of things going on, challenges being met. Because of Jackie, we have a newcomers guide. She probably provided you a copy of that. If not, check it out. It is a great thing to have to refer back to your community, but we are just very happy to have you on board. So,
I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
and welcome to Templeton.
Welcome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Anyone else on the board?
Welcome to the community, the position, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
Yes, I saw that. So appointments, we are still gonna do the appointments.
Okay.
Regardless of, whether Ann's here or not. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so under appointments, we have for cultural council. We've got Ann Lyons, and we have her interest packet or interest form. Everybody should know Ann Lyons. I mean, she's been kind of a big fixture in town, so
Great fit.
to have her on cultural council, I think is fantastic, and her reasoning for that, just having that outreach with the school will be excellent. So I would entertain a motion for that appointment.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I move to appoint Ann Lyons to the Cultural Council for a term to expire on 5/30/2024.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, almost 2 seconds. Thank you. Any further comment on Ann Lyons for cultural council? Hearing none. Cultural council Ann Lyons for a term to expire 5/30/24. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Absolutely.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Great. And lastly, for appointments, we have for the for Housing Authority. Good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm David Connor, the Executive Director of the Templeton Housing Authority. If you don't know me, I also run the Winchendon Housing Authority. I'm here tonight representing Carol Caisse, which is our tenant board member. Her term is up as of May 1st, and we're looking to have her renew. This position's a little different than it used to be. It used to be an elected position. The legislature made some changes back in 2014. They wanted more tenant representation on the housing authority boards, where Templeton already has had that for many years, and most housing authorities had. There were a lot that still didn't. But the way the legislature had rewritten 121B, there was some mistakes where the Secretary of State said they couldn't do it the way they were doing it. So it took them several years to clarify how they wanted it done. And in 2019, the clarification was the local select board or city manager or mayor, in the case of a city, would elect or appoint that position. So it's no longer elected. So Carol is our existing tenant representative, and she's looking to be renewed, and this would be the first time the select board would appoint her into this 5-year position.
Great. How did you do? Did you do a good job? Did you know the
You did-
congressional
you did great.
delegation?
Hey.
What's going on?
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And thanks for the explanation as well.
In your support.
Uh,
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So I would entertain a motion for Carol's reappointment.
I move to appoint Ms. Carol Caisse as the tenant representative on the Templeton Housing Authority to a 5-year term to expire on 4/20/27.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none on the motion to reappoint Ms. Caisse as the tenant representative on the Templeton Housing Authority for a 5-year term to expire on 4/20/2027. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure meeting all of you.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman,
You are next
not-
on the
nothing,
agenda. That's
nothing like,
amazing.
nothing like busting in on you. And
I'm going to introduce Nolan.
this is Nolan King. Nolan is the legislative aide and director for Representative Zlotnik. Zlotnik is at session and Senate.
I'm
and
actually
Representative
in
Whips
session
drove-
right now remotely.
Drove out of
That's
session and came to
sad,
be here
folks.
for tonight.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because we knew it was your last meeting.
I
and
appreciate that.
It was
Thanks.
your last meeting tonight, and we did not want to, so, we brought you a $70,000 check. That was the one that we did a while ago, but Adam said we need a copy of it to put on the wall. This was for the fire department. This is our going away too, and we'll put it out over there afterwards.
Absolutely.
But we want to thank you, Mike, for the years of service to the town. Especially, it's been really difficult for everybody these last couple of years during COVID. And I want to thank you for everything that you really went above and beyond in so many ways. And you've been a really big help to our delegation, and we just wanted to have an opportunity to thank you publicly for your service. So.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah, Holly's trying to get a picture.
I know you gotta fix the pocket. It's like with my husband, you gotta try to put this. You look all right. Yeah, come over here in the middle and it would.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, have another one.
Have another.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. Here you are.
Come on over here. I know.
And thank you, and thank all of the board members. It's been a difficult few years, and we appreciate it.
Accept the check too.
I'm sorry.
And
Mike will just accept.
look forward
Oh,
to
okay.
back to normal soon.
Thank you. Sorry,
Thank
us as well.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
Come
you.
back in, come back in, come back in, come back in. Come back in, come back in.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry about that.
Back in.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, absolutely. I was trying to focus on the check. I apologize. for the
Yeah.
check.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.
Enjoy.
Really nice to see you.
Good, how are you?
Hey, Tim.
How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Is it too loud?
Last time. I wanted to contact them and back up. Follow up on it.
Always feel free to reach out. Absolutely.
Thank you. Good to see you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Chief.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thanks for the team to make that happen. I will have some words a little bit later, but thank you very much. That was very, very, very pleasant. I saw them on the agenda, so I can't say I didn't see it coming, but they came with a check too, which is always a great thing. Money and certificates. That's always fantastic. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate that.
You can still unretire, you know.
There is. And we're gonna do it again. Especially in people.
Let's move on. Okay. All right, our next item. And we've got a 2-pager on the agenda. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the draft motion. So we have under new business, we're up to item D. We're going all the way to U as in uniform this evening, and even a couple of other items as well. So first quarterly report for Q3 is development services. Lori's not online or otherwise.
Yeah, if I can, Lori wasn't able to make it to this meeting, but she did say to hold the report and she'll show up to the next meeting
Okay.
to present.
Okay, next is the finance team.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi,
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening, Cheryl.
Okay, so I'll get started. We hired a new town assistant accountant in January. Lisa had left. And I traveled to Mass to train her the first week of January, which was the coldest week of the winter, I think. And her name is Nancy Tyros. And I must say that she has probably been the best hire I've ever had in all of my career. I cannot believe how fortunate we are to have her. She has caught on to things very quickly and is just doing an awesome job. So we're very fortunate to have her. She went with me to the Mass Municipal Accountant Auditor School. So she took classes just to kind of get her feet wet to see what the accountant portion of the job entailed. I did take the exam. We hopefully will hear mid-May. I feel that I did really good, but I felt I did really good the other 2 years, so I don't know. But pretty much this quarter is very quiet for my office, so that's pretty much it. And the expenditure trends, there's nothing really, earth-shattering that's, sticks out to me. The only thing we do is on the veterans there was an extra funeral cost this year, and the reimbursement has gone up for what they're eligible for. So it looks like we might need a transfer of like $7,500 or maybe $8,000 to get us to the end of the year. So that's probably something we'll have to do a transfer from, insurance and benefits or something like that. We'll need to do that. Everything else with that, is nothing too earth shattering. The elementary school project, we have one more payment to make to the school for a furniture piece, and we will be completely finished with that. All of the debt has been issued. The project will officially be closed and completed. So I hope to get that invoice within the next month or so, and we'll have that done, and it'll be closed out by June 30. The revenue, again, we're right on track. We're at 76%. There is one big item of note that I do need to bring your attention to. You're going to see on your revenues where it comes to the interest. We took a really big hit on our investments at Bartholomew. They, every single town did in the Commonwealth. We're not the only one. And hopefully this next quarter it will rebound. But you will see some of the negatives on the interest. And so that's what that is from the Bartholomew interest. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Have you come up with any questions or anything for the revenue or expense reports you have for me?
Go ahead, Terry.
So with the Bartholomew, we just wait it out? Is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is we have so much money in trust accounts and all of that. We have put it in the Bartholomew investment accounts because they get huge interest for us. This is the very first time that there's ever been this huge hit. And it's, right now it's just how the economy and it's just how the market and things are working. But like I said, we feel that things will, rebound. But, this quarter we did take a pretty big hit. And like I said, we're not the only town. It's there are, hundreds of towns that have investments at Bartholomew. We're not the only one. So, it's just an unfortunate situation of where we are today.
So I understand your explanation, and I'm just wondering going forward, how do you determine if it's time for a backup or a contingency plan going forward? Like, is there any indicators or red flags that we would recognize to say we might want to have a plan B? Or
I would say if we have 2 consecutive quarters that are, big hits, we probably would need to put, some other money somewhere else. But I think we need to, it's pretty, quick right now, and we just kind of need to write it out these next 3 months and see what happens.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Jeff, Julie, Tim? No, we're good. Kelly, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Cal. Yes, it's me.
Okay. Yep.
As Kelly's office is quiet this quarter, our office is very busy. Third quarter tax bills went out on time. Abatements came in. This year also with exemptions, we approved over 200 exemptions for seniors, veterans, widows, spouses. So that was totaling over $111,000 that went out of the town in revenues for those exemptions. We processed the exemption applications this year. We mailed a lot out to the people in town, again, because of COVID restriction. So our count was up a little bit more this year with the people coming back in. But you know, we let everybody know if they didn't want to come into the office, we'd mail them out. So they came and we did have a big calling for most of them coming in. Along with that, our senior work off, we're trying to revamp the applications on those. I did go over and have a talk with the senior center a couple of weeks ago, just to kind of let them about the work off program that we do offer with the town. So we're hoping to bring in some more people. Also reached out to all the departments in town, had a good response from all the other department heads. I think I have like eight or nine offices that responded with work they have the seniors to work in, which is really good, because normally we're looking for places.
How many years going is this going now?
It started in 2014, I think it was, and for like 6 years, I've only had 2 seniors, and last year I had 9 seniors, so it's been getting better. You know, the senior center's been really good at pushing it too, so it's a good program, and I'm starting to ramp it back up to come the beginning of May, so they can start working from May till October. So those applications will be out in my office next week.
Thank you, Lynn.
Also in January, motor vehicle commitments went out. I'm sure Cheryl will talk on this also. 8,000 motor vehicle bills went out. And this year we had a real problem with the mail in the post offices. We were trying to work with the people and stuff, and don't ask us what happened, but a lot of mail is getting returned to the people, even though they had the correct addresses. Cheryl worked with everybody. If something went in there and they came in and showed you, she did waive the interest and such on the account. So I mean, it was just tough with 8,000 bills going out and quite a few coming back to us unbelievable. That's mainly sent from the registry, not us. We just send the bills once they come, so we're working on it. They have a new system. They've only been in it like a year and a half, so they're tweaking and we get the windfall from it. Mapping changes always go out the end of January, beginning of February, so anybody that files plans throughout the whole year, the following January, we send everything to the mapping company and everything's updated. So if you go on our online mapping site through the town website, Cartographics, everything's current. The map splits are all been done as of January 1, and all the new owners are on the property record card. So if you're looking at it, usually I try to go on every 2 months to update the site, but this was the massive update where the mapping changes and everything are done at this point. So
Did it change the web address?
no,
Okay.
no, it's CAIGIS.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is, yeah.
What is Access GIS?
It's the form of cartographics. I mean,
Okay.
it's still all our mapping site.
Okay.
Yeah, so. On building permits, continue to fly into the office. Haven't gone out. I just started this week through January through March. I wasn't out doing many inspections. You know, we had a lot of new construction, but to get out in the snow and stuff and measure property. So I'm kind of pushing myself now to get out and catch up on all those. new
And Sue out there
developments.
doing her steps.
Sue's starting in May.
Yeah.
She's gonna be doing our cyclical inspections in Templeton this year. So she's
Okay.
doing Templeton. It's gonna take 2 years because Templeton precinct's really big. But she'll be starting doing that in May, which really helps out a lot too. Chapter land, we got 3 new applications in, which is good for the town. That secures land not being developed, which is always nice. They do get a nice tax break, but it's also nice to have people still preserving their land. So we did accept 3 this year. So other than that, pretty much, if you got any questions from reading it, I'm welcome to answer them or just let me know.
Good. Terry? And Julie? All set? All set? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so my quarter doesn't change. Taxes get collected, motor vehicle bills go out, pretty much everything Win does with those come trickling down to us. So we had all that due. Fourth quarter taxes are due Monday, so everybody's aware.
See the messages around
Pay your
town.
bills.
Yep.
Yeah, Bob put the boards up for me, so reminder for everybody, hopefully if they didn't get a bill, call, we can send you a copy, email you a copy, get one out to you if you didn't get one. I had said 28 potential foreclosure. The attorney sent letters to some of these people and we had a good response and got quite a bit of tax title accounts paid off. We ended up sending, I think 10 actually went to foreclosure, so he's working on those now. Those are going to land court. We've been cleaning up a lot of the tax title stuff. Danielle's been sending out letters for me and we're getting a good response. So I have last year's list is in the hall. I've been crossing them off as they come in. You can see that we're picking away at them. So it's good. We've been getting So hopefully we can get that list down and get some of those
Yeah,
off there.
nice job.
Yeah. We also acquired 3 additional land of low value properties. We need to get those out. We have to auction those off. We only have a limited time to do that, so we gotta get those. So we have 6 of those now that will need to be
6 total.
done, yeah. We did 111 municipal lien certificates were prepared, and that's, you know, people are still refinancing and selling is still going on, so that's still up there. And then there's the approximate amounts that we've collected. I don't know if you want me to read them.
Well, we got them in
Yeah.
front of us.
Yeah. It's a long meeting, so,
Trying to bust through this.
yeah, exactly. But other than that, things are going pretty good. We had a lot of walk-in traffic this week paying bills, so it's been busy.
Sure, can you give an example of the land of low value? Just like off the top of your head, is there one that?
If there's a limit, I think it's at 2,300 right now.
Okay,
So if the land is less than that, we can take it instead of going through land court closure proceedings, the whole
okay,
bit. We can just send it in. Most of it's filled up with land. It's this long form of
I think
everything.
that sliver of land that's like next to 11 Pleasant, would that be a good example of it?
No,
No.
I mean,
There's
the
like a
burnt
sliver of
out
land
house,
right,
we're working on that.
okay,
We're getting that one, yeah.
yep,
That's
That
not
was-
land of low value, no.
Okay.
No,
It's
it's,
just
yeah,
that
the assessed value has to be,
So the sliver of property
Right.
next to it is not it.
no, that one's already, we re-advertised it. We have to wait. It's just a waiting game right now
Okay.
until we can do anything with it.
okay.
A lot of our
Unfortunately.
land of low value is like, fishing gun Pinewood Shores for Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Street. They're all like 8-acre lots.
Right,
And these people
Okay.
now.
Yep.
Just, you town can have it, but you can't do that.
right,
You know, they
There's
get
a
a
process.
tax bill for $20, $30 a year and they don't pay it because it's a sliver of land, so let them take it.
got it.
And that's, yeah. It's just a little cheaper to do it through this process.
Did you have anything to add?
I was just gonna add, Cheryl gave me the list of lands of low value. Right now, town council and I are working on it. We have a couple other properties and that the finance team have been working with us as well on. So we're hopeful that come when we go out to auction these properties, we could add those to that list.
Other than that, I think that's
Does
all I
the
got.
potential foreclosures go up and down every year? Like you're knocking some off, but do more come in? Is there
Oh, yeah, I mean, every year, all the past dues, we do a new list every year. You know, so it's,
realistically, yeah?
it's just the cost to do them. Sometimes you can't afford to send them to the attorney to do them. You know, right now I do have the funds, so I'm trying to get as many of these closed out as possible. I mean, we'd rather the people pay and keep their homes,
Right.
but unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way.
Yep, go ahead, Julie.
And again, you know, on that note, just a reminder to our seniors that there's, you know, they can work it off.
Right,
They can work some of this off.
yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
can
out
work it
there
off
and they need
can
to
get
reach out
exemptions.
so that they
Mhm.
realize
Right,
that there's
apply for these
opportunities
exemptions, exactly.
they should be applying, you know, if they need to.
Yep.
Any other questions for the finance team?
I just had one more comment.
Sure, Kelly.
I just, you know, one thing Cheryl, after we got this done, I thought we should mention that we have sold, or 2 of the American Tissue properties have sold, that we have gotten some money in for, which, you know, is a miracle, which we never thought would happen. So there is a potential that, you know, maybe we'll see that coming through and, you know, because they're over $500,000 of our tax title. So if we can start, you know, if he starts selling those properties, we, you know, we'll be able to get in a lot of money and be able to, you know, start really clearing out the tax title. So.
Yeah, that's great news. I had seen some back and forth chatter, and I know that there's some legal issues along the way. So as long as
Right.
Adam's got, you guys got the finger on the pulse, Adam's got good visibility on it, and you know, whether he needs to come in with additional legal assets, that's good news. That's a good direction.
Yeah.
you know, Cheryl had briefed me up on the situation, what they were looking for.
Right.
And it's just, we needed to hold fast to, you know, we needed to stay the course here in Templeton. So,
Right, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
All right, finance team, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good to see everybody.
Good to see you too. Thank you. Absolutely.
See you in a
I'll
couple
be-
weeks.
I will definitely be around.
Miss Kelly, 30
Around the
degrees
office
tonight.
Yeah.
All right,
30
great.
degrees.
Yeah, tonight, yeah.
And our last quarterly report is from Community Services. Good evening, Jackie.
Hey.
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you too.
So during during 2 of the 3 months of this quarter, the library was closed to the public.
Mhm.
However, we resumed our curbside services. Libraries are a little different than some other departments because folks like to come in and browse, and if they can't do that, they don't come home. So we were thrilled to reopen beginning of March and definitely saw a rebound in our foot traffic and circulation. Also during the quarter, I worked with Adam on the budget reviews for the various units. I attended a few online trainings, participated in the public hearing for the CDGB food pantry grant that we were collaborating with Athol and Michigan.
Okay.
And that was a great experience. Brought some funds to our pantry. Recently held a meeting with former farmers market vendors, which makes me really encouraged for this season. I
Oh,
think it's
great.
gonna be great.
Awesome.
Starts next Thursday, so, yeah. So.
The kickoff event.
It could be cold, but. So if you have any questions about the library.
I do not, looks like the board does not.
How'd the seed catalog go over?
Oh, good. People have been, we put it on the porch while we were closed and folks, the Girl Scout troop that created it made a little log so that people could write, you know, a little note if they used it. So yeah, it's been really great. It's
Yeah, she's kind of shifted away from Girl Scouts, but yeah, she was there for the inaugural event and, you know, they had a lot of fun.
And interestingly enough, there's been a lot of chatter on my library directors, email directors across central and western Mass. And a lot of libraries are asking for anyone's experience at creating a catalog. So I shared a picture of our great
Oh,
catalog and how great it's been. And it was, you know, it's great to reach out to a local troop, see
Yeah.
if they have any interest in
Yeah.
with that. So that was great. Over at the senior center as well, they were closed for 2 months. The staff worked really hard to convert as many programs as they could to sort of grab and go. Transportation continued, but was limited to essential medical appointments and food shopping only. Meals on Wheels and the newsletter continued throughout the entire quarter. The center was really proactive in trying to disseminate information about booster availability. We interviewed for drivers, the temporary assistant and activities coordinator. Cindy attended an MCOA directors meeting. COA board met twice. And in addition to all the other, I listed all the events that they had. And I'm gonna do a better job at providing you with actual statistics. So those 2 statistics on the bottom, social services interactions, Cindy did have some meetings with folks by appointment during the months we were closed. And then the activity attendance pretty much and volunteers, that really represents 1 month. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna,
Wow.
These statistics are gonna be more present in my weekly and my
Yeah.
quarterly, just to drive the point home how busy this center really
Okay.
is. So.
Yeah, and when you write that report, if you describe the interactions, I think that's even more powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, but we discussed interactions before and my mouth drops open every single time to know how important that is. So.
Right.
Kudos to the team.
Yeah.
She's here.
Thrilled to see her.
Good to see you, yeah.
Yeah, my summaries were pretty straightforward.
we went into a new system last year and it caused me a lot of problems because I had to re-enter all of our chapter 115 information for our active people, which meant I had to go out and get the information from them and put it back into the system. So we have caught up with that. I've caught up with balancing all of our prior months. And I'm going to be working with Cheryl to finish that on the town side to balance everything that was spent over the last year. So a lot of time has been spent on this chapter 115 and the new on-base system the state put into place and learning how to use it, putting information into it and such. So I also revamped some of the forms that I usually send out to help the veterans understand what's going on. And the other thing is that I do the VA claims. So I've been working on the VA claims. It requires a lot of research. Sometimes there's what we call presumptives, which are easy. You just put in the VA claim, and as long as you have documentation that you have it, that's great. And if you don't, I start doing some research and finding articles that are relevant to the thing that you have a problem with to connect it. So I do spend a lot of time helping our veterans in that form. The other thing that I've been doing that I don't have on here is working with our veteran organizations.
Look, you got one here tonight.
Well, looky there. The Friends of Templeton Veterans, we've been, because I'm one person, we have so many activities in this town that I have to do outreach, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I cannot do it by myself. So I always have to look for other resources. And the Friends of Templeton Veterans just happen to fill that need. So I've been developing that relationship with them, helping them build up so that they can actually be a meaningful part of and have a great relationship with the town and all of our veterans. So I spent a lot of time doing that in the last several months, as well as working with the Legion and developing that relationship.
Great. Love it. Thank you. Any questions, Veteran Services?
Good job.
Thank you. Cultural Council? Okay. Hi, how are you?
I supposed to speak? Representative.
Oh. Is she- Okay. Yeah, it was like.
Hi, I'm Lisa Dembeck. I'm the chairperson for the Templeton Cultural Council.
Good evening.
It was kind of quiet this quarter because people are still kind of, worried about COVID and things were closed and whatnot. But we had a few things that we paid out for the Veterans Flag Workshop and the World War II veteran letters and Winchendon Wins. So Sean Fulton played at the Senior Community Center, did Irish tunes for St. Patrick's Day. And my last ditch effort, we need members. Thank you for Ann Lyons today. But the more the merrier. It's not a really complicated committee to be on. It's fun and it creates a lot of interesting things in the community. And I have to say, if you don't know a lot of people in the community, this is a definite better way to learn that learning. I've met a ton of people and to get to know my town. So it'd be really nice if we could get some added members. It would be really great because we are we're what they call aging out. So a lot of people come in for 3 years, they stay for the 6, and after the 6, they have to at least take a year off, and then they can come back. The great part is a lot of people do come back. They take the year off. But some new blood, some new ages, different perspectives would be really great.
That can affect your funding if you don't have it.
Oh, what's the?
Oh, yeah,
max?
you have to, there's a minimum of 5 people.
Yeah.
So if we don't have at least 5 people, then Mass Cultural Council will not fund us. And I don't think people realize we help the schools, we help the senior centers. We, our council is really trying to have concerts on the common, and we're trying to promote it on a Sunday. So it's more of a family time to promote the common. And it actually is really great to promote things in the town.
So how many do you have now?
We have 7 and one is aging out.
Yeah.
So now we have Ann, she'll be on, but you never know who's gonna re-sign up. You know, a lot of people, like I said, they only have to stay for 3, some stay for 6. But if they don't sign back up, then I don't want to lose that funding. It's pretty important for this area. And you know, for the need in the community, I think it would be a really great thing if we could get more people on the board.
Jackie, that's how you sponsored some of the things for the farmer's market?
Yes.
The Cultural Council, what a nice pairing that. You know, I enjoyed the entertainment.
Yeah, we help the schools. A lot of them don't get to go to like museums and stuff, and they come to us. A lot of local talent. Again, the senior center, a lot of talent for there as well. And you know, we always appreciate some suggestions on what to do. But I think we spread the money around pretty good. And right now, I mean, all our members are fantastic. They've all been doing it for a while. So I was pretty lucky to be on, to come into the committee and learn from them. Absolutely. I was pretty green. I think I'm still pretty green.
Well, I know the feeling.
But it was good to have that knowledge and talent and to get to know my community was huge.
Yeah.
So if somebody's looking to volunteer and get their feet wet, this is the council you should come on, because it's not very intimidating. You know, everybody's opinion is, you know, validated, and we work and try to figure out. And it's really, most people are just asking for the grants. They have to do the work. If you want a grant, they have to do the work. So, and then we try to, you know, filter whatever's left in the community, and we create a few grants for ourselves to do stuff.
I watched one of your meetings and saw your process.
So. Any
We got
questions?
the plug in too. That's great.
I was a former member, so it is a great opportunity for especially newcomers to town
Oh,
that
yeah.
are building and moving in, and it's a great committee.
Yeah.
I loved it. I did for years. It was fun.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I would never have met the chief of police or, you know, the fire chief or Adam. I mean, I see people in the community and I'm like, hey, I know you. So it's nice. And we know you. So it is nice, and it's a good community. It's not too labor intensive, and you spread a lot of joy in the community out of the council. So. Thank you.
Great, thanks for your report.
Thank you.
Maybe
For your
Denise would
volunteering.
be interested in it. Brand new to Templeton.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Jackie, I skipped over recreation.
Okay, sure. Jesse couldn't be here. So basketball season took place this quarter. We had over 170 children participating. Interview for a softball coordinator. We, Cheryl helped to set up a training with Unipay for the chair, the treasurer, and myself. So that was really helpful. And the commission really made a great effort in finding local sponsors for teams to generate some money for that revolving fund. And the commission met twice this quarter. We worked on some job descriptions with Mr. Jacobs. So that's all for Rick.
Okay.
And put a plug in, you put an advertisement out for swimming.
We did.
We water safety instructor.
Yeah.
And that's up on page, Holly. That's up on our page, and you know, COVID, it took a hit with COVID, and I hope somebody can come forward.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on because I try and keep up with the news, and I keep having to go page down because we have so much news that's going on with the webpage. So I'm really appreciative that they were putting that stuff out.
We really want to make sure that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's part of the bounce back from COVID, and it might take a year, but, and it's training, we're willing to train.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So, and that's coming up. There's a lot of, I think Worcester has a Red Cross training.
Yeah, I reached out to the director of the pool and Gardner and the YMCA in Athol, and they're gonna put feelers out for us, but they said there's just such a shortage of swim instructors and lifeguards across the board.
You working?
The training is.
Well, it's a lot.
Okay.
I didn't keep
know.
up with
I know.
my-
All right.
It's a
And
balancing
then,
act.
lastly, we have TCTV. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening. Thanks for having us take the time. We had a rough start to the quarter. You know, we had to go in, the Omicron surge, we went back to remote. I want to thank Adam and Lori for making that decision. I think it was the best for everybody. And it gave us, our healthcare workers, a nice assist. If you remember, they were overwhelmed at the hospital too. But, you know, that inconveniences us too, because we weren't able to work in this, we decided not to work in this room for a little while, and it really affected our training schedules and our work schedules. So we lost some time to illness and personal time, and I can attest that rest is underrated. We're still, I think, we're still trying to recover from the last couple of years, right?
Yep.
So with the yellow flag on the track, we pulled the car into the shop and said, what's making it sputter? And took a look under the hood and said, okay, we need to reassess some of our personnel and training priorities, and we've worked on that. And I think we're in a much better place now. We've been hiring a part-time program coordinator. She couldn't be here tonight. She's going to focus on the regional website because we're going to really need somebody on that almost all the time. And
Steve, do you have is that up, or do you have a kickoff estimated?
That's a good question. We're going to shoot for June 1st.
Okay.
I talked to the web developers this week. We just wanted to get somebody in place.
Okay.
And work on a few things. And if all goes well with their designs and our training, hopefully we're up by June. And it'll be a soft launch because that's all we can really afford to do.
You know, for the board, if you want to do it like a demo or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we have a demo that's online, and
okay,
it'll be much more ready then.
Yeah. I'm an experiential learner, so you have to show me.
Yeah.
You talked it up a lot, but I would love, you know, I think the board would really love to see.
Yeah,
the
we
demo.
would love to show it off.
Okay, great.
So, so again, that should be up by June if all goes well. And, you know, we're able to start working on productions again. Some of our sponsored productions are going well and have led to other conversations with people in the area who want to do sponsored shows. So that's great. Logan here was working the meeting tonight. He's been working on some productions that were overdue, and he's coming along well. So he covered the river rat race the other week and managed not to get wet. So. And we're exploring business development. We have one of our sponsors wants to talk about helping us with the digital lab and the regional website even. So we're seeing what that will entail. And just a final note that the subscriber count, and we get our money from the subscribers through Comcast, is down as expected. Not as much as statewide. We're a bit buffered, I think, with the seniors in town, but we're probably looking at 8% declines if the state is seeing that statewide.
People are just cutting the cord, so to speak. I mean, going streaming instead.
I think so. You know, Comcast still sells bundles, so they say, don't worry about it. You know, do you really want to believe that? But they do sell bundles. So when you buy phone or internet, a lot of times we're talking to cable TV. And that should help us, but that's why we're trying to sell sponsorships and finding other revenue streams so we can supplant that. And so far this year, I think, you know, we've already done enough that, you know, we should be able to keep stemming the tide if it goes in that direction.
Good choices to seek other sponsorships. Mass Wildlife has to do the same thing. This is the first year they raised prices on hunting and fishing. It used to be a natural pastime, and now it's just not. And so they're looking for alternate resources.
And I think people are starting to understand what we're doing, and I have conversations with them. I say, hey, you know, part of our mission is, you know, we're giving young people a chance to work in media. And you know, supporting journalism.
It's moving this way too.
And they get that. So that's huge.
Yeah, yeah. Devon's has a studio. There's a lot of studios and a lot of
We can sell this.
opportunities in the state for
Hopefully the
kids.
website will be a big addition to that.
Yeah, look forward to seeing
that. Will do.
You do a great job.
Thanks, Steve.
I have a good crew. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan. All right, and that is our last quarterly report. Thank you, Jackie, for you and your team. We're going to move on in the agenda. Next up is action related to the MART bus shuttle shelters. And I think we have project manager Mark King on.
We do.
Yes, I am. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I'm with Weston and Sampson, and we're designers. We're working on the Templeton roundabout at Patriots Road and Main Street. And I had recently been talking to George Cahali at MART, the Regional Transit Authority, and he expressed interest in bus shelters in that location, in the location of the roundabout. So I had put together a plan showing him where we could put them based on some requirements that he had, or some wishes that he had. And I had sent it over. I'm not sure. I assume you have it in the packet, but if sharing my screen, would that be the best? Or
I can do the same. I've got the packet. If you give me 2 seconds,
Sure.
I can do that. Oh, there we go. You want me to start off with the first graphic, or you want me to go to the one that's right out in front of the what it's called, the hen now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hen house.
Oh, that's the old Patriots roast beef, is
Yep.
that? Yeah.
Yep. Am I upside down? No, I'm not upside down. Okay. So that should start us off. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. So you can't see my cursor, but the roundabout, the proposed roundabout is there in the shaded area.
If you're good with sharing on Zoom, you go right ahead.
All right, I'll try that.
Do you have the share button available?
It said it was disabled.
Yeah, I believe only the co-hosts.
All right, I guess it's only going to be
You
me.
should be able to do it now.
I
Okay,
can do it now? Okay, let me try that.
thanks. Sorry for the curveball, TCTV. When he shares, we'll see it up on that screen and this screen.
Okay, you can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It's green? Okay. This is the, one second. Okay, so this is the roundabout.
The room that he's saying roundabout, does everyone know that we're going to get a roundabout right out the window over here? Yep, so that intersection that drives people crazy because they can't get out, it's going to go roundabout.
It's been
Or
a
rotary.
discussion, but is it actually coming to formation? Because I haven't heard that.
It's part of the.
So that would be awesome if it is, but I
Go
haven't
go
heard
ahead,
it.
Mark. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
No problem. This is Patriots Road here, Gardner Road on the other side, Patriots Road, and this is South Main Street, North Main Street. This is the Camelot building, just to get everyone, the building. I think it was sold recently, but I guess it was the old Camelot building. And this is the proposed roundabout that we're designing. And as of right now, we're about to submit, just so you know, we're about to submit 100% design.
That's fantastic. There's your answer, Julie.
And it is scheduled for fiscal year 2023, which I think would probably mean it would probably be bid in the fall sometime. We're looking at finalizing the design in the summer.
Right.
So as I said a little bit earlier, MART had the Regional Transit Authority had expressed interest in putting in some shelters for the bus route that comes down Patriots Road from the west and goes down Patriots Road, comes over to Gardner Road and continues east. So they'd want one on both sides, westbound and eastbound. So we picked out 2 locations based on their kind of requirements that I had sent to them, and they were fine with the locations. The first one on the westbound side, if you can see the red rectangle with the hatch, that would be the bus shelter location. It's just east of the town memorial, which is on town property. I believe it's the Council on Aging. Is that correct?
Okay.
Oh,
And if you see the photo that I have attached, it would be in this area here in the grass area. With the bus stop would probably be further up, closer to the driveway, further to the west.
Is that what this email is about? You got one? Yeah, and I don't know if it's late breaking news for you or us, but we've got an email from town council that
Okay.
talked about title search. I'll paraphrase from Ryan Holmquist from our town council office. This deed, the deed that they did have or did find, this deed does not contain a similar restriction, so the bus shelter may be built on that property. Moreover, because this deed is to the defunct Templeton School District, the select board has authority over the property per Mass General Law, subsection 59(1)(a).
We requested a ruling on it just because we had some concerns, so.
Is that good news,
Okay.
Mark? Okay.
Yep. So the bus shelter itself is 5 by 8, and it would sit on a 6 foot by 9 foot pad. So come out 6 inches on either side. And I have a sample of a photo that, they had done, MART had done in Winchendon. I don't know if everybody can see that. So it's kind of a bronze finish. That's what they use. That's about the size of the shelter. I don't know exactly how big this one is, but it doesn't look like it would be much bigger or much different than what we would be proposing for this one. And it does have a solar panel on the back, which would provide lighting. So.
In the
And then
proposed,
again, the bus would probably stop up here, kind of outside of as much outside of the roundabout as we could get. So that would be the westbound location. Are there any questions?
Luann, go ahead.
That common area is very small. It's got the monument on it. It's got the Christmas tree for the decorations. Is there really enough room to put that on that area?
Changes the whole.
I mean, that's a common.
Yeah, no,
Buildings on our commons.
there is enough room to put it here, but I understand, and that's why we had sent it into the town to get your feedback.
Could you circle the other spot again, please?
It would be right in this area.
Right, I got that picture, but is there any other option?
Based on what MART had said, they didn't want to take any property, any private property to put the bus stop in. I think this is the only property along that stretch. Once you get outside of the roundabout, that is town property, is not private. So, and it's somewhat close to the roundabout intersection, which I seem to be a place where they would need more, passengers would wait more. So.
And when your issue is it's a small.
I just think there's not much of a common. Talk to Bob too. I mean.
Yeah, my opinion, it is very small. My point is, a couple of things is liability, who's gonna be responsible for the liability? And when that roundabout goes in there, there's gonna be extensive snow bankings in that area. Who's gonna be responsible for keeping that open during the winter months?
The bus shelters or the roundabout?
Well, the state will do the roundabout, but the bus.
State will do the roundabout.
I don't know that.
I think our future plans with Scouts Hall and the congestion down the road, I don't think that's a feasible spot for that.
Okay.
There's not much parking or anything over there.
What about one location? Table?
Well, I mean, Mark requested he wanted to forget the feedback of the town on this proposal. Based upon the review, I mean, we have two of these locations, right? Mark, one of them's on state property.
One of them's on state property, I can show you that if you want. That would be in front of the old Patriots roast beef.
Yep.
So
which is a little bit.
That one right there, I mean, you want input on the proposal for the town parcel, the town one, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would take input on either one, but the town is on town property, obviously.
So Mark, what's going to happen too? I have another proposal I need to bring to the select board with Mass DOT for the next board meeting in May. So we have an opinion here from town council that we could do it, but I have some concerns from my department heads. So
okay.
I'm thinking we could just, would it be really hurt you if we had to delay this till our May 25th meeting? Is that correct? 25th, Holly?
25th.
Meeting?
Yeah, no, I think that would be fine. I don't have, I could certainly be on that one, and we could, if we could, want us to explore some other options. There may be, I don't think there are any options, and I could talk to George again from MART, based on what he had asked for. I don't know that there are any other options, but I could talk to him and maybe he can, there's other things that he could do. So I could look and see if there are any other options, but I can certainly come back on May 25th. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yep. Questions and concerns. If you could, just enumerate those, send them to Adam so you can collect them. Holly, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to suggest to Mark, what about Cumberland Farms? I don't know if they would work with you or in that area. That seems like it'd be a really good spot on that side.
Well, the thing is, once you get, I don't know if you can see this right now. This is you're coming into the roundabout. So coming into the roundabout, you've gone down to one lane. So if the bus stopped, you'd be stopping traffic. And out here, we figured the bus could probably pull over. It'd be coming out of the roundabout. It'd be wide enough for 2 lanes. So you'd be stopping within the roundabout. And it'd be 1 lane. Plus, it would require taking private property or putting it on private property, which is something that MART didn't want to do.
Mark, that's not where Cumberland Farms is. That's the existing pizza shop and post office.
This isn't. Oh, this isn't Cumberland Farms? Where is Cumberland Farms? I'm sorry.
That used to be. It's further down on the side is.
It's across from Town Hall.
Yeah, across from Town Hall, further down.
Further down this way?
Yeah, correct. Same side of the street of what the contested one right now. Same side of the street, just a little bit down. Let's see.
It's just outside of that photo.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not far from.
It's really not that far, but I think that's
That'd be a
great-
better place.
Yeah,
At least to explore it.
Yeah.
Maybe they would want the foot traffic. All right, so Mark, we're gonna take a couple of actions here from the department heads. They'll get with Adam so they can kind of flesh this out. Especially, take a look at where the Cumberland Farms is, so you're aware, so you can take a look at it as well, because we may start asking some questions. But Adam's got to collect those, and we'll get you on a subsequent May meeting. Sound good?
All right. Yeah, no, that's fine. And I'll look at Cumberland Farms, and if that's, that sounds like that may be a better option than putting it next to the memorial there, the town common. So I can look at that. That's not a problem at all.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on
All right.
tonight, sharing your screen. Very
Thank
informative.
you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mark. Have a good night.
Bye. You too.
Okay, next item is action related to Baldwinville Station, change of Sunday hours on liquor license. Sean? Got your email. Usually Holly helps us out with the license applications. You're just looking to move it to the state legal hour of 10 o'clock.
From 11 to 10.
Yep. I did the research. It's just moving it right to what the state statute is. It would be 10 to 2. I have no issue with that. The rest of the board care to comment at all? Good.
Mr. Chair, I did contact the ABCC just to be sure that it wasn't something that had to go through them. And they said it's up to the local board. and we just notify them after. And so it's just a simple change.
Okay, I would move to approve the change of Sunday hours in the Baldwinville Station liquor license from the current hours of 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. to the new hours of 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Second.
And I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to approve the change of Sunday hours, Baldwinville Station liquor license, current hours from 11 to 2 to 10 to 2. How do you vote? Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. I hope we were at least a little entertaining tonight. We waited a while. so-
You waited. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. All right. Mr. Vice Chair, our next item is action related to a boot drive permit from the Friends of Templeton Veterans. I would like to recuse myself as I'm the treasurer of the organization, so I'm going to take a seat out in the audience. And the rest of the board of Vice President and the secretary will take it from there. So if you could.
Hello, hello.
The floor is.
Floor is
yours.
mine, okay. All right, so the Friends of Templeton Veterans, we are fairly new still. We're looking to do a quote unquote boot drive to help our nonprofit organization, so that way we can assist in any veteran needs throughout the towns of Templeton, Baldwinville, for any funding needs for our veterans. Specifically, so we're looking to do that kind of like almost like the firefighter boot drive kind of a thing, fill the combat boot. Request a date of May 21st of a time from 9:30 a.m. till approximately 13:30 on Saturday. We would be requesting 2 locations. You have I'm assuming you have the photos attached. So the Route 68, 202, and then 101 and 2A sections. Is there any?
FOTV is taking a giant piece of, well, not a giant piece, but a substantial piece of Net Memorial Day this year. That's why the timing of 21st of May, right before Memorial Day. So those funds will hopefully go right into immediately helping out some veterans or assisting in veterans activities in support of Memorial Day. So that's the timing for it. We're right on that 30-day request cost. And Jim Brio is the president of the organization. I think everybody knows Jim in town. The 5K extraordinaire, the 5K master. So Jim has taken that role on as the president. Really exciting. We've been around a while, but the fact that we've got so many new volunteers and creating this enhanced network of veterans is really encouraging in the community. So it's just another huge win for community, for Templeton to have activated veterans in support of not only the community, but our veterans.
I see Sheila's shaking her head. Yes, 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 yes.
This is a great opportunity for Templeton to have an organization that's willing to support us, veterans and the community. And a lot of veterans, as we know, shy away from those larger organizations for whatever reason. And this gives us a fresh look at veterans being able to touch their neighbor and say, hey, I need some help. And now we have neighbors sitting up in front of us that are gonna help move things forward and help support me in supporting our veterans and our community.
So do they come right to you, or?
They come to the
There.
board. I'm just the treasurer. I kind of took a back seat and let others bring this thing to the bigger fruition that it is.
And there's
the
standalone.
Boom Meals, he's the vice president of the organization. Katrina in the Girl Scouts, they do so much for the community. They're already making signs. It's a really nice collaborative to have. So between Chris and Sarah coming tonight, we've got Bob, I'm sorry, what's Bronson, and then really good things happen.
When did you guys start?
Many years ago, we just did not have a whole lot of,
The momentum.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was John
And then
Capros and
COVID
I.
hit, and so now we're trying to get the
Yep.
momentum going.
Yep, John and I started it years ago, and John has since left the organization, but it's still, like I said, it's a network.
Did you have an opportunity to look at where they would like to locate?
I have no issue.
You have no issue, everything's good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All the other paperwork is.
Yep. The only thing I wanted to ask was if we believe they need the cert team.
Rich came back and he said he did not, he had an email coming back through Sheila to say he did not think that they were going to be needed. We still may want to talk to him to borrow some traffic cones.
Okay.
You can tell this is military risk assessment. Did you know it gets so
This is a very comprehensive plan.
I don't think I did.
Well, you gotta know, you gotta know those levels.
Absolutely.
Mr. Co-Chairman, I move to approve the boot drive permit for the Friends of Templeton Veterans as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussions?
Good to see you come on. It's great.
Any further discussions? Hearing now, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths,
Yes.
Ms. Richards.
Yes.
I vote yes as well, and the chairman has recused himself. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Good luck.
Sarah, let's give these for all the other participants. Anything you can get to you before the event will be good, but if people that show up after the event.
All right. We are now to item J, action related to disposition of 19 Central Street.
This is pretty standard language. You probably remember last time when we went and auctioned off town properties under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30B, Section 16. The select board need to vote to have it available for disposition prior to us moving forward with it. So it just
Procedurally, just in support of the warrant.
it's just mass procurement law that needs
Got
to be
it.
followed.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Just kind of procedurally, we need to make sure we have that declaration before the town votes on it. All right, I move to declare that the property owned by the town and located at 19 Central Street as surplus to the town's needs and is available for disposition pursuant to Chapter 30B, Section 16 of the general laws. A motion in a second. Any further discussion on 19 Central Street? Hearing none on the motion to declare the property owned by the town and located at 19 Central Street as surplus to the town's needs and is available for disposition pursuant to Chapter 30B, Section 16 of the general laws. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, next item, action related to Thirsty Turtle Mutual Agreement.
Mr. Chair, we have Chief Bennett here. Ask him to come to the table, and if there's any questions you have, he actually met with Mr. Arsenault regards to some situations that the PD's been dealing with, and I'll let the chief take it from here. Chief Bennett.
Chief, can you just give me a rundown of what's happening at the Pearl right now? I did read the letter, but just what's your overall assessment of what's occurring there? I think there was I don't know if it was mentioned in the letter, but I believe there was a shooting.
Yeah. So over the last 90 days, we've had numerous fights, a stabbing and a shooting, which led us to this agreement.
Okay. So police presence does what? I mean, can you describe the action plan? I mean, when Adam gave me an alert that there was a bunch of things that could be done, what led you to the point where it was, and I assume a detail is paid for by Mr. Arsenault?
That is correct.
Okay.
So Mr. Arsenal had actually reached out to us to discuss what has been happening there. We had him come into the station. Sergeant Fliss and myself met with him. He was very cooperative during the whole process. We talked about rolling back his closing time, do a 1 o'clock closing. We talked about details. Mr. Arsenal didn't want to go the rollback to 1 o'clock. And it wasn't per se because he wants to stay open until 2 o'clock, but now with the younger crowd going out later at night, how he expressed it was that if they're going out at 11 o'clock, they're gonna go to the place where they can go and at least stay a couple hours instead of just going to his place and having to leave.
Right.
So I said, well, I understand that, but those are your two options, is details and
Okay.
and the rolling back. So he was very open to the details. He actually wanted to move forward with it. We have 2 officers there on Friday and Saturday night. And so far, things have been going good. The first 2 nights, the establishment was pretty much dead. Last Friday, however, they did actually have some incidents at the Thirsty Turtle. There were actually 5 fights when there were guys there. But they were all handled. And the bartender and the detail officers agreed to close the bar at 1:50. So it's been working out well.
All right. And from a public safety perspective, I, especially since it's not an impact to the taxpayers and it's extra duty, extra paid duty. I'm comfortable with that. I just, what is the draw? Why, I know you probably can't answer that. I mean, we could have some theories, but what is happening at the Thirsty Turtle that's drawing out, people coming from outside the community, is it, I struggle with why it is a magnet for that kind of behavior.
It's clientele.
Okay.
The previous owner, when Mr. Stacy owned it, he got to the point where he was always doing no trespassing if he had problems at the turtle. We still had problems, but if he had any, he would do no trespassing, and those individuals weren't allowed to come back. When Mr. Arsenal took over, he's a new business owner. He needed to build up the clientele first, have people coming in. So he was more reluctant to crack down on his personnel because he's trying to make a living when he started out.
I understand.
We explained to him we weren't looking to put him out of business, but we need to take some action. Since then, he's actually come in and has moved forward with, I believe it was 4 letters of trespassing. Since this, most of the individuals are
great.
known to us.
All right.
So he's trying to take steps. He doesn't want to, as he put it, he likes to be able to leave there on a Saturday night and not have to worry about his phone going off. So,
yeah. Well, I'm glad that he's not only aware, but using the tools that are out there and being open into 2 different avenues. So that's good. I have no further questions. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I'm just gonna say, so that I appreciate the chief taking this initiative after these incidents. We spoke about it. He was my alarm clock. I think it was Saturday morning, chief, right? And alerted me to the situation. And I do appreciate him coming up with this. I think it's a good measure to have officers there at the establishment, and it will cost them a few bucks to pay for these officers, but I think it'll provide for a safe environment over there with the Templeton PD.
Yeah, I hope the message is received. So when the first day where you don't have a detail, that it's not just right. Yeah, they brought back the cheese. Let's let the mice come in.
Do you come back to us with a report, or?
I would ask Adam just to kind of help work with the chief to monitor the progress afterwards.
The chief's been monitoring it, and we'll follow up after.
And it doesn't impact the coverage of the rest of the community?
No, it's just like any other track. If I'm driving in Gardner, I see Derek Hall on the detail. So that's the way details work. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question for the chief. I just wanted a clarification. So the evenings that your police officers are there, are they in the establishment or are they at the door? Are they checking
Various
IDs?
spots. They're
They're just
inside, walking
everywhere?
around outside, they're checking the parking lots. Yeah.
Okay, and 6 fights broke out.
Fine.
With 5 fights broke out with uniformed officers present at this location, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's, I mean, a little bit from personal experience from way back, but same principle. Sometimes a place just gets a reputation.
Yeah.
And
Yes, that's what I was.
people will go and go and go, and it's like, we can go to the Turtle and get, 3 drinks at it.
Yeah.
150 or something. I'm hoping with the officers there that the word will get out and they will lose that reputation. I think it's gonna take a little bit, but word will get out, and I personally, that's what I think it is. The Turtle, for whatever reason, has a reputation where, hey, let's go there and, whatever. And now, with the police officers there, even though there was some fights right off the get-go, that's newness, and I'm hoping that reputation wears off.
Yeah.
And
Haven't I seen this in a movie? It's
Yeah,
not the
I don't
Thirsty
know,
Turtles, the
Patrick
Double
Swayze
Deuce.
in Roadhouse, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze.
Just to throw one off.
Maybe.
I mean, even after the police leave on details, if he considers having, did he have bouncers before?
So we did discuss that too, and he brought up a good point, is that a lot of times when you hire a bouncer, the bouncer is somebody that generally has, he also is in that kind of a mindset. He's looking to get into a fight sometimes.
Right.
Okay. So he really didn't want to do that route. I mean, I give him credit that he's willing to have
I
a
agree.
detail now, so.
Jason, if you're watching, yeah, we give you credit.
I think that turns into a reactive where uniformed officers is more proactive, because you walk in and you see them right away.
Mhm.
And I would think the mindset would be there like, well, he's not gonna just duke it out with us.
Yeah.
We're going to the cage. I mean, so again, I'm my hope is that the word will get out and the Turtle will lose that reputation as a place to go just race out.
Okay.
And it'll turn into a place where, yeah, we can go have a late night drink or whatever. It'll be a relaxed place. That's
All right, I would move to approve the agreement made between Chief Bennett and Jason Arsenal, owner of the Thirsty, or doing business as the Thirsty Turtle Pub, to have detail officers at the business between 10 PM and 2 AM or per their agreement on Friday and Saturday nights for 10 weeks, at which time a decision will be made on how to move forward.
Second.
Any further discussion? Are they Trestle Bridge doing business as? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Trestle Bridge doing business as
That is
Thirsty
correct.
Turtle, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
I just, one quick
Mhm.
question on
Of course.
the hours, 10 PM. You don't think it's necessary anytime earlier, or the business owner doesn't feel the crowd is there yet?
That's, 10 o'clock's when.
10 is the, okay.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none on the motion to approve the agreement between Chief Bennett and Jason Arsenault, Trestle Bridge doing business as Thirsty Turtle Pub, per the agreement, for 10 weeks, at which time a decision will be made on how to move forward. How do you vote, Jeff?
yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, next item, action related to donation of asphalt for Depot Road from W.J. Graves.
I will ask Mr. Sozik to come up here. He sent us a
Yep,
memo.
that is
It's in your
his memo.
packet, and he could give you all the details related to this request.
75 tons.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we did some spot patching on Depot Road.
and down by the plant, where there's some runoffs, is a good dip and some deterioration in the road. The trucks hit it, it supposedly broken leaf springs in the past, and it just makes a big bang and could possibly open tailgates and stuff like that. So Todd from Graves approached me, general manager, if they were to donate 75 tons of top, if we would put it in place and take care of that problem down there. So that would involve me hiring a private paver, using our trucks and roller and a detail officer probably for one day.
Okay. Depot Road is a public way, correct? So we benefit, you said it's under 500 feet? Approximately, yeah, so it's not a chapter money,
No, you
chapter
can't.
90, yep.
It wouldn't, unless we did more of the
Yep.
road.
We benefit as a public way and they benefit because they use it and it's their leaf springs.
Right. It would help fallen situations all around, travel with the town over to Main Street as well.
Yep, and I see Todd's memo back to you, Adam, basically pledging that 25 tons. So we would do our duty to accept the gift of 75 tons of asphalt for this project.
That is correct.
Everyone good with that? Anyone have a question for Rob?
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the donation of asphalt for the repair from W.J. Graves as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Adam or Holly, did you need that it's being used for Depot Road in the motion?
Oh.
It's not in there.
All the board has to do is accept the donation.
We
Okay.
just accept it. right?
Copy. Okay, thank you.
Good catch.
Any further discussions? Hearing none on the motion to accept the donation of asphalt for the repair from W.J. Graves as presented. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, W.J. Graves.
Mr. Chair. I ask if we could move the River's Edge Dogway Station donation up.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. All right, let's move item Q as in Quebec, action related to accepting donations of planting materials at River's Edge Conservation Area.
The one before that, Mr. Chair, sorry. Dogway Station donation.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, not Q, P as in Papa, action related to dog waste station donations at River's Edge Conservation Area.
We have Mr. Andrews here as well as, and you were the,
Yes.
yes, he's there right behind you
Oh, okay.
via remote. So if you could kind of just let the select board know, we were actually pleasantly surprised when we received a request from Mr. Andrews.
Yeah.
But by the, we would have to accept the donation, even though this project's under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
So that's why you're in front of the select board related to the donation.
Okay. So, yeah, my name's Cassandra Tompkins.
Nice to meet you, Cassandra.
Thank you. And I am a small business owner of 25 years. I have it's called All Dogs Alive, and I offer dog training and pet sitting services. I'm also a part-time employee of Templeton and Winchendon as a dog officer. And I wanted to see if you were interested in a donation of a dog waste station for the River's Edge Conservation Area. I have two reasons for the donation: to keep the environment clean and also to advertise my business. And the way that I would do that is, here's a little picture of the typical dog waste station. There's a compartment for the dog waste bags that have 3 openings and people will pull them out. There's a trash receptacle, and there's also a sign at the top. And what I'd like to do is literally cover that sign with my business logo, which is this, to advertise myself. And the only difference I would make is that I would put a donated by up in the top for this particular station. So if allowed, I would provide the poop bags, so to speak, for the station. It comes with some, and some trash bags. I'm assuming that the town could take care of the trash. Only because
He was waiting for it.
It's all yours, Bob. Well, I'm sure that people will put I'm sure people will put litter in it as well. They'll use the trash bag.
Sure.
But again, I would provide the waste bags, and I could have the dog waste station delivered to my home where I could affix the sign, probably with screws, because I'd like to be able to take this off. This will fade. And then assemble it and then deliver it to whomever you would like to put it in the ground at the river's edge conservation area.
It looks like it's like a stake staked into the ground.
Yeah.
It's probably on a pipe that it should
Yeah.
be buried like any other sign.
Yeah, they wanted in, they suggested maybe even a little cement.
Well, they did a
Yeah.
bad, you can quick rehab, it
Yes.
cement out, you just dump it in and add water.
Yeah.
It's certainly something I've seen in many parks, so it's definitely not, like a novel idea. It's basically just us partnering with you to say, think what some of the issues were, George, actually, can I let George go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can ask him that. Here you go.
Yeah, he was breathing heavy earlier. Sorry, I needed it. I did.
Oh.
Hello.
There you
We
are.
gotcha.
George. Yep.
Yeah, I am. Yes. 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 I was thinking that I was very surprised you offered that, and I figured it was best to have you people to approve it one way or the other. Whereas, we're only the cost of vision, the Concom, and we figured it would be better the selectmen said yes or no. And if Bob would put it in, and we just find a place down there to put it, if he would be willing to.
You guys must be giving me another helper or employee.
We're working on that.
Yeah, you can hire me.
I'll help you, Bob.
And
There you go. See, volunteerism.
It's a dog-friendly area. We're allowing dogs. to
What's
be-
under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So if they don't have any regulations pertaining to dogs, then it's not an issue.
See, before when we went to do something about a dog park, it was told by the selectmen they couldn't do it because of the insurance purposes. So I don't know what that would do to this particular area.
It's something that you're donating
Yeah.
for the town, as long as it doesn't cover up other things that say this is like a poop station or
Right.
dog waste station.
Yeah, no, there's the
Our picture is a little bit different than yours.
yeah, there's the thing in here. It says
Okay,
the dog
perfect.
waste
Yep.
bags, yeah.
Awesome.
It's so frustrating to see the bags.
On the side of the road. I've lost you. Anybody talking? I can't hear anybody.
I can hear you, Mr. Andrews. I think the in meeting dropped.
Okay.
Please bear with us.
Because I've lost everybody and the voices. Oh, nobody there.
Yes, we are having technical issues. We just have to wait a couple minutes for them to come back.
Want to offer, like if there was like a good spot for it, especially if we're.
Okay, there they are.
Dig safe, whether we're putting concrete in the ground or anything like that, but if could work together
Oh,
for,
yeah.
for where to place it. In a time frame too.
Side of Adams River there on that.
Okay.
And there's one other thing that I would like to add to that.
Absolutely.
We need to put a sign up or figure out a sign of what the hours will be in that park. And I was thinking dawn to dusk, dusk to in the evening, or if they wanted other, you guys wanted other hours for people to be out of that park.
Okay.
They're looking at sending the hours of conservation, George is saying. Yeah.
George, thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh, no problem. I've been hanging around.
Thanks for bringing this to us. We're really happy to see Cassandra in front of with this.
And I'm very nice to see. It's the first time I've seen her, so we'll have to get together and talk.
Yep, sounds good, George.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, George.
Thanks.
Are there any other
Okay,
questions?
take care.
I'll help.
Any
Bob
other
out.
questions for Ms. Tompkins? Okay, hearing none, I would move to accept the donation of a dog waste station and approve the installation of the same at River's Edge Conservation Area when feasible and as presented with the placement to be decided by Conservation Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Anything else? All right, hearing nothing further on the motion to accept the donation of a dog waste station and approve the installation the same River's Edge Conservation Area when feasible and as presented with the placement to be decided by Conservation Commission. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sorry for waiting.
Yep.
Thanks, George. Okay. Oh, we're at the open meeting law complaint. Okay, item M is in Mike. Action related to an open meeting law complaint from Mr. Bob May.
Mr. Chairman, I move to direct the town administrator to respond to another open meeting law complaint for this individual.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to direct the town administrator to respond to another open meeting law complaint from Mr. May. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Absolutely, yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Got it? Okay, sorry. What
I
was
said it's a waste of taxpayer dollars when it's habitual.
This is right.
and Unfounded, and it is, it's right.
This is right.
You know.
Next item is action related to accepting winter recovery assistance program funds.
Mr. Chair,
Check.
well, you have the email in there we
Yep.
received from Senator Gobi. This we look like Bob was very ecstatic to see this. He's going to be busy with his roadways, so I'm not sure if Mr. Sozik wanted to come up and add anything further, or it's pretty much self-explanatory.
$250,000.
Well, it really doesn't go that far.
It's gonna go right over there, a big check, copy of it.
We
right
got
there.
another one we got to put up.
Well,
Fill it.
Next meeting, I'll have a chapter 90 plan for you guys to approve. The delay was because we went out to bid to renew the bidding. So now I can finish putting that together. Now we'll propose that to you at the next meeting. The 250 grand, I'm looking at going further into the pavement plan, making a difference in the town roads. I do have a few streets in mind. One of them's pretty expensive. And
Is that south?
down, what's that?
South.
Yeah. And then with this, I'm looking to do that one side of Brooks Road as well as Hamlet Mill that's been on the list for quite a while.
Okay.
Is what I'm hoping to cover.
I know
I'll
one
be going
person
out shortly.
will be pretty happy about that. Mr. Mays, was that his name?
Yeah, I was just thinking he will. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
I'll be going out to, I did reach out to Bill from the golf course and had some small talk. And doesn't see anything happening in the near future. So that made a big help. I'll be going out measuring the roads, working with Mass Broke and closing a plan to you folks.
That's coming up in May.
Yeah, it'll be at your next one.
So the board will have to accept Bob's Chapter 90 spending plan in May.
Okay. And you need us to accept.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the program funds from the Winter Recovery Assistance Program.
Second.
I have a motion in a second. Any further discussion or questions for Bob? Okay, hearing none. On the motion to accept program funds from the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, how would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thank you.
A very large part of our packet. We are up to item O as an Oscar, action related to ARPA spending plan. And are you going to give us an overview, or?
Yes, I'll do that.
The most important part of this is that table at the end that I've taken out.
Well, all the items before you have been publicly vetted. This is phase one of the ARPA spend plan.
Yep.
The reason why I've not committed 1.8 million roughly of that 2.4 million. Number one, well, we didn't receive all the funding yet anyways. We received half of it. And right now, we're still waiting on knowing what our infrastructure monies will be from that infrastructure bill. So until we get more information on the infrastructure monies, I would believe it to be advantageous to wait on making a commitment, because we have till December 31st, 2024 to commit those funds. With in front of you tonight, where I seek your authorization on the proposed spend plan of $617,950. I did put forward in Exhibit C of your packet the projects that we're looking at doing in the time being. I have here 3 of the department heads, departments that will receive the first phase of funding for this, and they are hopeful that they could get your authorization this evening. And I think if you have any particular questions, whether it be the senior center monthly meals or the road repaving or drainage work or the police officer, I have each one of them here tonight. Terry, do you have a question for me?
Well, as I spoke with you earlier about the senior service monthly meals in phase one, I'm just wondering how we can make that a permanent. Can we do it permanent? Or can we do it a few years while we have ARPA? I know there's a very high rate of homelessness on the rise for seniors. And I think it would take a weight off of Cindy's shoulders to be able to offer these meals. Some seniors only can afford 2 meals a day. I don't know.
Homeless seniors?
Yes, homelessness in Massachusetts, senior
Okay.
homelessness is on the rise.
So Terry, what I can say is you have all the requests there. The Senior Services Department could certainly submit another request for funds, because as I mentioned earlier, this isn't, all the money hasn't been committed. This, we have till all of it to be fully expended by December 31st, 2026. So there certainly could be a request to do those monthly meals each of those
Can I help
years.
you answer that? So $7,300. I mean, you've been doing this. What?
Listen.
Oh, you've been doing this budget for a while. We talk about new growth and priorities and otherwise. I think if you bring this back, I don't have a problem funding this now, but I think if you go back to the select board goals and add that in there, and it winds up becoming a priority, to me, $7,300 is a drop in the bucket. And if you make it a priority, if Luann gave us her, construction outlook, well, not outlook, but like what's going on right now, $7,300 to me, you can affect that.
Feasible.
To me, it would be based
In
on
a
growth.
permanent position in the town budget, not just.
Position or
ARPA.
meals?
Well, the meals, the
Yeah.
meals yearly, you're saying is what I'm hearing is we could easily adopt that in the town budget.
Not easily.
Not easily, we'd have to.
You remember, you give him the budget guidance and he tries to make it work along with it. What I'm saying is $7,300 is way easier than trying to fund a $30,000 or $40,000 personnel, or what does it cost for a police officer? It's about 65 or 100?
With all benefits,
Yes.
probably 92.
Okay.
Well, I
But
like the
you said you-
phase-in plan. I like the
I
phase-in
got
plan.
actually a better point.
If we could somehow phase that in too, like.
That's what I'm saying is for meals, that's
Probably a source for that, for continuing, is probably the elders grant from the state. Can be used for those things. It gets used for a variety of things, but it is for services to the seniors. And that just needs to be looked at and put together and pushed. It's something you gotta, you go for, but it's always there. Elders grant has been there as far as we've had
Do you know if we use
senior.
it, Jack?
We're using it
If you have a
to fund,
council on the aging, you're eligible for that.
She's using
those
it.
funds.
we're using it to fund Linda, the temporary assistant.
So, I mean, that is a future funding source.
I'm saying you've got the flexibility. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, it's-
You have the flexibility to do something about it right now, but then going forward, planning wise, use that retreat to make it a priority.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's $7,300 low hanging fruit for something that you want to prioritize. I know that we were going through budget, we were talking, I think there was another line item of $4,500. It's how you're going to front load that priority set.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just had a quick
Absolutely.
question for Jackie. So our senior center kitchen, what is the status on that? Is it workable? Is it
That is a
usable
great question.
at this point?
It's incomplete.
So you're requesting that we give this funding so they can go to a restaurant or have a grab and go meal, correct?
Right, they are.
That's what we're
currently-
asking our seniors. That's what our
Yes.
option is when we fund this.
Right. They currently, since Cindy started, pretty much, she has reached out to local organizations
Yeah.
to sponsor a meal. And she's been successful in doing that, but
Okay.
this would just ensure that if that shouldn't be successful 1 month, there's still a meal, at least a meal when everybody.
Right, if there was someone not available that month,
Right.
then you would be able to use it. So where do we stand with our kitchen use at the senior center?
Adam can help.
Can
If I
we
can.
get an update real quick?
I could be very brief on that. Right now, we have the architect. He's looking at both the roof, driving up the specifications, and after he's done with the specifications for that, he'll be drawing up the specifications for the kitchen. And at that point, we're going to be looking at some funding sources where I believe that we'll see if we could get the requests submitted to the Friends of that Elders group.
Okay, great, thank you.
So then what would
Appreciate
happen?
that.
They would
Or
cook
put it on
meals
here.
or,
Put it on here,
Yeah.
right?
so what would happen? They would cook the meals there?
Well,
Or we'd be
no.
able to go-
No,
That would be a
if you-
great
if you-
thing in the
if you-
future. I mean,
The request in the packet identifies area restaurants. So-
area
Right.
restaurants.
Yep.
No, I mean, going forward, like you said, on the retreat, bring it up on the retreat, when the kitchen.
Oh,
if-
you're way
if it-
out in the future.
Well, some town meeting in the future, if they vote to fix the kitchen, this year it's the roof, but what would happen then? Would that help
It would absolutely
feed
help.
the seniors
They could
more?
hold, they could hold congregate meals several days a week if they want, if they had the funds for it. So yeah, it would help tremendously.
So potentially this could go away.
Yes, sure.
So
Absolutely.
priorities, right?
Priorities.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta still,
Yeah.
you still have to have a line item to pay for whatever is being produced in a newly renovated kitchen.
Right.
You know, and then
So
the
that-
right personnel with the right, with a license,
right
and a
budget
healthy,
and
yeah.
so forth,
That's why
yeah.
I said you're thinking in the future, because to make all that come together, it's gonna take a little bit of time. But you did a great job answering that question to say years down
Yeah.
forward.
Thank you. That's great. I like updates like that because we don't always have.
So what we have in the table tonight is the 617. That's what we want to address. Everything else in there is basically that running list of what department heads or various members are looking for. I also appreciate you including the survey. I think I peripherally remember the survey going on. How long did that survey go on for? It's through the town website, correct?
I believe it was 3 weeks roughly. Justice,
sorry.
Justice,
I'm looking at you, Justice.
Justice actually put it together. He did a good job. It was roughly 3 weeks, I want to say off the top of my
Okay.
head. And it allowed residents the time to go through and
Yep.
make their comments. And you could see the scoring of each of the requests
Yep.
with contained with, I believe, within Exhibit A, of your packet.
So the two other things that are on here tonight is employee staffing plan, which I did read, the enclosed path to zero, I'll call it. Basically the sustainment plan for how to get there, how to become sustainable.
Correct.
Yep, and then the 300,000 for the road drainage and repaving.
And that gets paired with a lot of other money according to Adam. That will help because
Well, you just accepted that other 250,000. Bob has 350,000 coming from chapter 90 roughly. So he's upwards of now by around $900,000 if that were to be, if this spending plan were to be approved and town council okays that. Because everything that you approve still has to be okayed by town council in regards to the spend plan.
Bob's budget will get bumped up.
I think you're going to see a significant amount of infrastructure improvements this summer. You'll keep Bob busy.
So there are three things, just for clarity, the senior meals, the police staffing, and $300,000 for
And if you remember in your budget review, Chief Bennett submitted his phase-in plan on how he's going to bring his department back up to pre-2014 levels. To have this officer there, and I know is a priority of the select board within their goals to think of creative ways to fund our public safety team. And working with Chief Bennett and Chief Dickey, Chief Dickey added another firefighter paramedic. Now Chief Bennett will be able to get his staffing up to levels pre-2014. So I think we've done what we could with the budget available, and I wholeheartedly support this plan.
Adam, or Chief, I have when we went through the budget, is this the same proposal or an additional proposal? Same one that it was briefed back in March?
The chief's proposal has stayed, the request is the same within the budget book.
Okay, okay, yeah, I loved it back then, I love it even more now.
I have
Absolutely, please go.
I have a question on the police funding for 23. It says 92,362. Is that for one officer?
Yes. That includes the officer's salary and his town benefits.
Okay, so in looking, and I want to do this, except I have a couple of issues. I looked at the fiscal 22 budget under police dispatch other, and it had an item, restore step one officer with benefits. It's 70,350.
So I could probably explain that the chief may have had that officer in the budget in 22 for insurance based on a single plan. And this one's probably based on a family plan. That's where you see the difference of that, the delta.
For sure.
So
Okay.
it could actually, in fairness to Mr. Bennett's point he brought up, that number he submitted could actually even be lower depending upon what health benefit plan, or if they don't even take health benefits. I don't know. And we have to budget for the family plan.
And because I understand where he wants to go. I just don't agree with how we're gonna get there, because I think my issue is one-time money. Because the opera funds, I know everybody sees a big pile of money, but it's not a waterfall that's gonna keep flowing. And in the 19 annual town report, it shows 10 officers. And I know, I think 2 or 3 resigned, or 2 resigned in the middle of the year or so. But in 2010, the annual town report, it's 9. It's been 9, 9, 8, 19, you get 10. And then, like I said, there was a few resignations and in addition. So it's been 8, 8, 8, and 9 part-timers. In 23, you show 7 part-timers, and I know them are probably going to go away whenever that may be. Our financial management policy says we're not supposed to balance the budget with one-time money, and if we do, we are supposed to fix that, have a plan to correct that within 3 years. Again, this is my issue with this, and I know where Chief is coming from, and I know they've been down officers for a good number of years, and it has bounced, and I know the issues are there. So that was my first thought, was the 7350 versus the 92,362.
Okay.
And my other issue is our financial management policy states that we won't balance the budget using one-time money or non-reoccurring revenue. And if we do, the select board and the administrator will have a plan to structurally balance the budget in no more than 3 years.
Was there was there a contingency clause in there? If you pull it back open? I thought I remembered there was a contingency clause, like if there was an emergency. I might be remembering something else.
That will not use budgetary procedures that balance the budget at the expense of future years, postponing to avoid debt, a budget, and there is emergency or extraordinary or unforeseen events. But to me, if we were down, if 5 officers just decided, I'm gonna go work for this town that's got more money than they know what to do with, and he's 3 officers, then yeah, that would be a no-brainer. But that's just my personal problem with the opera plan. It's like the meals. $7,300, it is not a lot of money, and it is a worthy cause, but going down the road, how are you going to maintain this? This is like, to me, it's like a lease. You're gonna have to plan on finding this money next year. I know our health benefits, I hope health insurance stays the way it's going. That's a really good thing. I have the school in the back of my head because I know that's a train that's coming. We know that our retirement fund is going up probably 6 figures from now till 2035, I think, 36, somewhere around there. And then we should maintain and then have a mushroom of that revenue will be back available. So that is my conundrum as a selectman. And I do back like in wanting to get back there. And I know the priorities, and just the turtle thing and the airport thing shows there's a need for this. I'm probably going to decide, and then whenever I get done talking, but that's my issues with this, our policy and planning. in 2027, how many people sitting at this table are going to be here then? The five, I know one's not going to be here unless maybe he comes back next year. He gets
I'm
bored.
sure you will be here.
Huh?
I'm sure you'll be
I'm
here.
trying to convince him.
So, but I mean, in 27, I mean,
So you're saying it's he's adopting it into his budget. So what I heard was it's only a 3-year window to adopt it into his
according to our
budget.
policy,
And we've got 4, is that?
it's the fifth fiscal year, so.
3, it's
splitting hairs.
5. So can we legally do that if it's not
Well,
in our
it's-
policy?
It's not legality, it's just the board's policy, the way that the board of selectmen, and not particularly the 5 people sitting here, but that's the town's policy. That the board decided, that said we were gonna follow. We told the people, this is how we're gonna operate. No more using free cash to support ongoing expenses. The DOR has recommended that in their 2 financial reviews that they have done. The board has stated we won't do this by the financial management policy. Again, that's my issue.
I agree with you on the face of it. I'm not trying to get you to open the book again to, you know, so you find the emergency clause. We're in a different, we should be following our procedures and policies, but we also have to take advantage of the situation as it comes up. Those are meant for the standard as we're going, you know, as we're going through our normal budget process. I look at it a little bit differently to say, you know, out of all of the millions of dollars that we're getting all this money because of a contingency that the federal government had to enact for several different reasons. Imagine the meetings that went on to talk about, are we going to open up the floodgates and let, you know, municipalities, or are we going to tell the municipality you can only buy a hand sanitizer with this money, $2 million worth of hand sanitizer? Or are we going to say unique conditions existed, therefore we are going to allow lost revenue replacement? Here are your conditions. They gave us 4 things, you know, don't touch the third rail for these 4 issues. I look at it as we're trying to, in spirit, perform what we do in our financial management policy, but get there in a way using this this unique situation by having a plan to get to fully funded. Yes, is it bending that 3 years? You know, do we hold the line and say, well, it's outside of 3 years, so no? Well, I take a look at it as this is all contingency funds. This is fallout funds, and we're trying to make the best of it.
And it is sustainable according to the chiefs.
It is, it's just outside the time frame that we have, you know, handshake and said, oh, this is our policy, we gotta follow it.
So can anyone
Ju-
file with the Attorney General on us?
No.
No,
You're misinterpreting.
This is our local policy, the
Right,
way that
and the
we said
voters
we will
wanna see
operate.
us do
You
that.
can do this, you can use this money for this. It's just,
Mr. Chairman, can I just?
do you want to find excuses to not follow your policy, or just want to follow what you said, the rules you?
Julie, can
I
I
totally
yourself.
jump in first?
Yeah.
Julie?
I'm gonna let the town administrator jump in first.
No, I appreciate Jeff's fiscal watch on the budget, and the chief and I had talks about this, and this is the only proposal you'll see with regards to a phase-in plan with the budget. I think, as Mike mentioned, when the policy was drafted, nobody ever thought we'd have this influx of federal dollars coming into town. But to the point, I would be able to provide a plan on the phase-in based on the fact that, you know, the departments worked with me. We were in follow out the goal of the select board on level funding, which created this excess levy capacity of roughly $170,000. Now, even if we, let's say, we phased it in over time, that is a sustainable plan that I could come up with when I talk with the chief and be able to, once we get an accurate measurement on how much the officer will actually cost the town. Now, you see the higher number, that 90-something thousand, it could actually be lower. But once we figure that out, I will be able to get you something before fiscal year 23 takes effect. So that way, I think by the way the policy reads, as long as I provide the board with the plan prior to it going into effect, we would be in compliance with our own policy. And I think that would address Jeff's reservations in regards to that. And that's something I could come up with before fiscal year 23. And I think that would solve our concern with the policy.
And when I look at the priority of these and I look at the description of them, and the survey from what the community had said, something like funding, getting to a path where the chief has a more workable manpower plan makes more sense to me than premium pay bonuses that I know we're going to wind up, arguing that as well, but that makes more sense to me in terms of a priority. I know that everyone is kind of jumping on to say, let's take a look at that. But if we're to prioritize, we want to spend the money. Absolutely. I agree with that. But for priority, manpower and public safety, even if we have to wind up, I don't want to say it because I totally know where Jeff's coming from. I don't want to say that we're bending the rules. I think we're more looking at that other clause to say this is a unique situation that we went through for 2 years. And this is an opportunity that we can wind up
As
fixing. our-
leaders, sometimes you have to take the heat. You make the decision
Yep.
and you have to take the heat that comes after it. But I thought this was brilliant.
So if I
really
could
did.
just interject real quick,
Of course.
so if we're gonna say that we're always gonna abide by this plan, then when the federal government puts out DOJ money for COPFAS grant, which is a 4-year plan, we're gonna say that we can never take that money? That's what we're saying. We're saying the town can never take federal money that's on longer than a 3-year
It's
plan.
accepting the money, it's how you use it.
I get that, but Jeff, this is exactly that plan without all that paperwork. That's what this is. We're getting the money without having to do all the paperwork for the DOJ. And this one's a 5-year plan instead of a 4-year plan that the DOJ puts out.
Would it make sense to put a contingency in the policy?
No.
I can answer that question. So we're doing that. We're actually using our policy. Jeff's highlighting the fact that we do have some rules for one-time money. But I'm trying to highlight the fact that this is not normal. This ARPA funds, this unique situation is part of that clause to say this is in the spirit of an emergency. Because that's how it came out. That's all of these funds came out of the country, trying to turn a cruise ship on a dime, but the country basically saying, here is going to be our rescue plan for what COVID has done to us economically.
And it was favorable in the polls.
I imagine it was.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please do.
could I just make a comment about this funding? Because I did reach out to different department heads and that when we realized how much we were going to receive and what it was going to be basically trying to go for. And a lot, again, public safety, our roads, our fire, it's always been number one. It's number one with your seniors. It's number one with, I can say probably the majority of people that live in these small towns in our precincts. I was a little disappointed when I started reviewing because I was hoping the chief would come and request 2 full-time officers. So that's how strongly I back up the chief's request tonight. I just wanted that to go on public record.
Absolutely. And to kind of go down that path, if 2 was workable between the chief and Adam sitting down, we would be looking at a sustainability plan. I think there's that much faith and fidelity in what they're proposing to us to say, we understand the spirit of what we do here. We're trying to state it that. So the fact that they only have 1, if they could have done more, they know that how they would have had to present that.
It's maintainable, correct? Once you get this officer on board.
In 5 years, I would think that the town would be able to sustain it.
We're gonna have it in our budget. And it's gonna be a balanced budget. We have to look at that in a positive light. We can't keep holding back. It's just my opinion.
So huge, yep, go ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
I just look at this, and I've read through the policy. I understand what Mr. Bennett is adding. At the time that policy was written and enacted, none of us looked far enough ahead, and that's nobody's fault. Nobody saw the unique, unprecedented events that unfolded in front of us. Hand in hand on that, we had some unique and unprecedented events where these monies started to gradually appear, and there's still some indications there may be more coming behind it. So yes, we have a policy, but one of the challenges with a policy is knowing when you have to make an adaptation, and do we need to relook at this policy and potentially rewrite it? And that's a discussion for a whole nother day.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Well,
I think that the policy is good in normal times, in normal conditions.
that's what.
I'll even go as far to say, I know that even year to year, there are going to be unique conditions from year to year.
Sure.
However, for what these funds represent, it is a marked difference from minor unique budget years. So we got to basically weigh more on the emergency clause within our financial management policy than trying to make it a square peg fit in a round hole. All right, so what the town administrator is coming to us tonight is basically 3 items on that, totaling 617,000, roughly 617,000.
That's including the ones you've already approved too, as well.
Okay. Yeah, that we've already approved it. Chief, anything else? No. Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
I'm going to vote on it, but I'm not going to make the
You
motion.
know what, may I just add one more thing, Mr. Chair, please?
Of course.
We're gonna do the comprehensive emergency management plan, and one of the things in that plan is to always get together after the emergency and discuss what went right and what went wrong. So here's an opportunity for us later on down the line to have a conversation about what's going right, what's going wrong.
At some point, we're gonna have to review the policy regardless, because with the infrastructure stabilization account going to town meeting, if that, once that gets approved, we have to look at those deposits into those accounts, our CapEx, our OpEx stabilization. So when we open that door, if the board were so inclined, they could review that portion of the policy. I think the intent was good, but if there are reservations on federal money or whatever it might be, we could certainly look at it at that time.
Vote yourself.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Julie.
I move to approve the ARPA spending plan as presented with input from the advisory committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So we still have to go to the advisory committee and the attorney,
It's just input from advisory.
and
Yep.
the attorney.
The attorney will be the ultimate signer on compliance with
Yep.
ARPA and the revenue replacement.
Adam, what are the options for voting on this? Yes, no, or is there a third?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, hearing nothing further. On the motion to approve the ARPA spending plan as presented with input from the advisory committee, how would you vote, Jeff?
No.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and I am in 100% favor, but I'm going to abstain. The biggest reason is that I don't want to write a check with my mouth that I cannot cash, as this is my last meeting. It does pass, but I don't want to give something to the town that I can't finish, so I'm going to abstain from that vote.
So 3-1-1.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on. Dog waste. Planting materials, that's the one I spoke of, item Q. Action related to accepting donations of planting materials at River's Edge Conservation Area. So the only item that was in the packet was like a flyer to solicit.
That's correct. This is actually going to be, we have tentatively scheduled a River's Edge grand opening ceremony. I've sent
May
that out.
9th,
May 9th.
10 o'clock.
10 a.m. And after that, we're hopeful that we can have volunteers come out and plant placement of certain plants, and whether it be mulch, other materials. And this will certainly give folks in town an opportunity to participate, similar to what happened with the Gilman Way project when they first started that. I think the volunteers came out, they spread mulch or materials, and then they put the thing together. So this will be a good opportunity. The board just has to accept the donation of planting materials. And we'll keep a list on what we receive.
Okay, so we're preemptively accepting donations.
You would get granted with under my authority to accept them. And
Planting, so limited to planting materials.
Yeah, and
based on this flyer that we have in our agenda.
That's the
I'm sorry.
draft. It's going to be touched up a little bit. I've been
Okay.
working with the
That's
conservation
idea, the
department.
spirit of it, to get planting materials.
Mulch, perennials, shrubbery, outdoor plants, grass, that type of stuff.
I'm not gonna say it. I'll let you say it this time.
A shrub. Ah!
Uh,
A shrubbery.
Something I think went over my head.
It's one of my finer moments.
We just.
Does everyone understand the spirit of this? We're basically preemptively, based on the plan for the opening and otherwise, we're basically giving Adam the authority to accept the planting materials at River's Edge.
And if we could also amend that to include millings as well.
Donations of planting materials and millings.
Yeah, Bob, did you want to mention millings really quick, just so the board's aware?
Right away for the Corps of Engineers to the right side of the park, and it's gravel right now. And Adam approached me and asked if we could put a finer material there, something more feasible driving on. So if we get some millings donated or off a job, we could put it on that roadway, compact them with the roller, and make a couple of parking spots on the back side of the river.
Who would be donating millings?
Well, if I do milling, I'll have the millings, but if Winchendon is milling, I usually send a truck to a local town because I'll take all I can get.
Okay.
So it'll be donated either within the town or from a neighbor town, unless you approach Graves or PJ Keating's or somebody, Mass Broke, to see if they'll donate a few loads of milling.
Okay.
Right now.
So millings for that purpose at River's Edge Conservation. So that's your authority, your guidelines that for that, just so it doesn't open up the door to, well, you accepted millings, so I used it over here and I used it over here.
My first approach, I'll probably ask Mass Broke if they
Okay.
have a stockpile that.
Is it cast off material or is it desirable?
It's pretty high demand stuff.
Oh,
They're
okay.
adding recyclables to it, making other products. It opens.
New roads.
New roads.
Yeah, okay.
Once
Got
you
the right
work it
idea.
out, everybody, their brothers out there trying to get it.
All right, so the motion would go something like this. I move to preemptively accept donations of planting materials and millings at River's Edge Conservation Area as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions for Adam or Bob? Hearing none on the motion to preemptively accept donations of planting materials and millings at River's Edge Conservation Area as presented, how would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie? Oh,
Add a chair.
I vote yes. Okay.
4 yes, 1 out of chair.
Four
Holly.
yes. One absent.
We just put out a chair.
Good night, chief.
See you, chief.
Okay, next action. Does anyone want to take a quick recess or to wait or just keep going through?
I mean, the next one's pretty, I mean, it's up to the
Okay.
board. I mean,
I don't know, that was it for me, right?
Let's see, town property administrator reviews, the
Yeah,
CEMP.
yeah, I think
You're a
he's,
stakeholder on the CMP, but I've already asked you ahead of time, so you're good on that. Social media policy, Juneteenth holiday and the rack. I think you're good.
Thank you.
have a good one, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Good night, Bob.
Forget that dog you can't.
Isn't that compliant with MS4?
Yeah, did it.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
All right, the next action item is relating to declaration of town property for disposal in surplus. This is the table or the spreadsheet.
It is, this is in accordance with our policy. We have some equipment. Holly, yeah, those are IT stuff for the most part. Holly, did you kind of want to just cover this because you put together the list for the board? And technology is tricky because it gets basically almost the values just falls significantly in a short period of time.
Yeah, so the list on the top is the computers that we had bought in 2013, 2014, and they're just super old. Those, once we declare them for disposal, we'll go to our tech company and they'll destroy them, make sure that all the information is cleared out. The cell phones are the old town phones, so they get new phones quite often through our program for free. And these are the ones I've been just kind of collecting. That whole list in the middle, I'm gonna be able to donate. I'll probably donate those to the veterans. I think there's a box down here. The ones on the bottom are just so old and we didn't have passwords. So those are just gonna be destroyed.
Okay.
And these will probably come up every once in a while, trying to constantly renew.
And this stuff can't be reused by another department? Do we,
No,
Okay.
it's really old.
I'm sorry.
The middle ones can.
Yeah, the middle ones can be reused, but those are gonna be donated.
I'm not an iPhone person, but I see Droid Max and some of these get Google Pixel 2, they're up to like 6, I think. So pretty old stuff.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I just, in the military, anytime you're gonna get rid of something, you get the plant clearance officer to make sure that no one else can use it throughout the DoD, so.
For sustainability reasons, it's.
Yeah, why, it's electronic waste. Is the veterans box down there, do you know if that's been emptied, or if like you look in there, are you gonna find, Nokias from from
I'll have to
1990?
check with Sheila on that. I believe
Like-
she kind of,
All right, yeah, just as long as we're not just dumping electronic waste in there and then it piles up and so if they have people coming and pick it up, that's great.
right.
Especially now that we're throwing something that might actually be used, because I have a feeling if we go down and look in there, there's gonna be some Nokias from 1990 in there.
I hope not.
I move to declare as surplus the list of computers and cell phones for disposal and or donation as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Any concerns about old computers and phones? Jeff, you're good?
Yes.
Okay. Yep, on the motion to declare as surplus the list of computers and cell phones for disposal and or donation is presented. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, next action item is the town administrator's review. All right.
I've been stressing about this for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, come on. All right, so this is our first review. I'm gonna talk like I'm talking to everybody, but I'm kind of focused on you. I'm the spokesperson. This is a collaborative effort. So let's see. No, that's okay. Just wanna make sure. Where is that? Adam, you were in receipt of a memo basically letting us know that we started the process. All right, so I don't have to brief that. So let me explain the process here. When he came on October 20 or November 1st of 20, he only had a rating period because we rate him in the April timeframe of approximately 6 months. So we did not do the rating period in that last April. Now that we've had a full cycle, we've had the time to come up with a process, and per your contract, right out of your contract, we pulled the evaluation, not the technique, but the evaluation criteria, which is the 10 areas that you'll see on your cover sheet. Effective communication, effective leadership, mediation skills, team forming and building, demonstrated knowledge, professional maturity, writing ability, professional development, property and contract management, and research ability. So in order to do that, I prepared the process that gave a worksheet, and I don't have a copy of the worksheet.
Oh, I just left my phone.
I gave a worksheet to each of the board members and asked them to perform the assessment, which there is a numerical portion, which is the primary, which you see in your part 1. And they assign numerical scores based on those competencies that are out of your contract. And then they are allowed comments to justify those. That's really where comments come on that worksheet. And those are, I'll call them unadjudicated comments that are in support of their numerical ratings. So once the board as a whole is completed with their task, I then collect them all. I then process the raw data and come up with basically 3 assessment areas. So if you see your evaluation criteria, part 1 is your evaluation collection matrix. That's where all the board members' scores are. And you're going to see going left to right, total values by competency. Going from up to down, you're going to see total values by evaluator. And it ultimately will give you a total score that you see in the bottom right of your collection matrix. And you can take the time to look at those, but the analysis is what is the most important part of that. So if you go to part 2, grading key, assessment comments, and certification, you're going to see the 3 areas: by competency, by evaluator, and by total score. Those ranges from a 1 or unacceptable, because it's a numerical rating from 1 to 5, starting at the top at 5, outstanding, exceeds expectations, meet expectations, needs improvement, or unacceptable. You are then going to have ranges of the scores. Those ranges are weighted by the median values, meaning the middle 3. So you don't have any outliers for you're really, really awesome or you're really, really not awesome, if that makes sense. So competency and evaluator are both weighted by the median. The total score is not, because you can't do that in a total score when you're basically assessing both sets. So, so you have your explanation there. And then in the assessment, you're going to say 3 of 5 members had additional supplemental comments. These were discussion points based on the worksheet. But they're not part of the final report. Again, they're in justification for me as the collector to make sure that that there was a data integrity. So if there, I'll give you an example. If you rated a 1 or a 5, if there was not a comment to substantiate that, I had to. That was an unadjudicated comment. So your overall evaluation rating, you have an exceeded expectation rating that was observed. Your total score was 172. That puts you squarely in the exceeds expectations category. By evaluator, and you can look back up, that's your north to south running values. 3 of 5 ratings returned a meets expectation evaluation rating. And then by competency, because there are several values there, I took a look at the highs and the lows there. You had for property and contract management, researchability, effective communication, and demonstrated knowledge, you were rated as exceeds expectations. And in one category, team forming and building, the board felt that you rated as a needs improvement. So 1 out of 10, you had a needs improvement. So you had some meet the expectations, but by far you had some exceeded expectations. So that is your assessment for your first assessment, which I think is a pretty, to come in and knock it out of the park. You were certainly in a situation where you could have done that because you had 2 years prior. It's like you almost cheated for 2 years to work on this. But for your first evaluation to have exceeded expectations, I think is a testament to the hard work that you have. Please use this evaluation in any feedback that the board may give you in any kind of private counsel. Use this evaluation to take a look at where your strengths and weaknesses are and how you can move forward accordingly. So you do wind up knocking it out of the park the next time that you have a rating. So that's as the spokesperson for your evaluation, that's my piece. I can allow the board, if the board has any comments, or if you have any feedback for the board, or if you have any feedback on the process. Again, because this was that first pancake in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Although based on your contract, they do pull ripped from the headlines. And we'll give you a signed copy as well.
The only thing,
I did not throw them away, but they're worksheets. They're worksheets. Yep.
so the only comment I note is as needs improvement, that was on the line between meets expectation. It was really, I would consider that pretty close of a tie myself.
The needs improvement for team forming and building. Let me go up to
Yeah, because needs improvements 9 to 13, meets expectations 14 to 17. So I guess that could be interpreted as a lower level meets expectations, but
I agree, and please take some time to take a look at, I think it's going to take a moment. What you hear is the assessment block. What I think you could do with this is go back and take a look at the data grid and pull kind of the story as you consider it. But I agree with you. I mean, you're on the threshold there. But again, the board as the whole, and I do believe that this process was pretty good in terms of the board being able to express themselves for where you were performance wise.
I just wanted to note that.
Okay, sure. Then it would take very little for you to push it out of that range, is what you're saying.
Right on the edge.
Yep. Anything further? All right, your first evals in the books. Nice job.
So it's satisfactory.
Say again?
So it's satisfactory overall.
Your overall was exceeds expectations. You're not outstanding yet there, but
You're at the fence.
Well, no, because
Just
my
knock it
contract
over the
states
fence.
satisfactory review, so I just want to clarify it's a satisfactory review.
Okay, yeah. Well,
oh, right, yeah, we're not going to fire you at the end of the meeting.
Well,
Here's your copy. I just want to make sure that I have a signed copy that I can give to Adam.
For my personnel file.
Yes. And that other, I want to make sure that I include what the worksheet looks like. I lost.
No, I know, but that's it. Isn't that what you're gonna get?
I have
So, thank
the
you.
letter in the worksheet to add that.
No, I appreciate the exceeds expectation review and thank you for your confidence in my abilities.
Absolutely. Thanks, Evan. All right. Next up, I am very happy to present to you a collaborative effort. This could be your next comprehensive emergency management plan, otherwise known as a SEP. This is a Rich Curtis. This is an emergency management document generated, and I worked with him on this. And if you go to page 9 of the SEM, I just want you to see that the stakeholders here, emergency management director, fire chief, police chief, DPW director, and health agent or all had almost 2 months with this for any consideration. Anything that they added, they are stakeholders. That's why they are on page 9. So definitely not done. This is from a template. This is tailored to Templeton, worked on by me, who has a lot of experience doing these, with Rich, who has a lot of experiential learning. And then our emergency management stakeholders made sure that this was the right tailorable SEM for our community. So I offer that to you. I would be intensely proud and happy to sign this copy. But a lot of work went into it, and I'm really excited that we're going to wind up being able to show the town this is how we got our stuff together when it comes to emergency management.
Comprehensive. I noticed we have a lot of dams. Some of them didn't have addresses. Is it because there's no addresses?
I know right where you're talking about. I don't know if it required it or had an address, like a physical address. Or, we could probably put and this is terrible. This is this is a living document. You'll see on page, it's got a track changes. Yeah, you've got to track changes.
And I found that, just
On page 10, so you have a record of changes. If you wind up seeing stuff through that, we can wind up amending it. I think there was a table in there where it had the record retention. I thought I put the stuff in there, or I don't know if that.
now, what about the last?
It's not there. Well,
88,
if we-
yeah, 88, that last page, it says this. On 88, it says,
88.
the table on the next page shows where various critical infrastructure should be added in the spreadsheet, but I didn't see a next page.
Oh, it's the ArcGIS data.
See, the table on the next page shows where various critical infrastructure should be added in the spreadsheet. This is.
So that table got brought forward to,
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, I know it. Okay,
it's going to be right up in the front.
yeah,
So you see on page 15,
yeah.
that is the major critical infrastructure in the community.
And on that page at the line 5 of the second paragraph, there are several areas of the town that are included. We just have RE. It's a silly thing, but
Okay.
it says RE instead of ARE.
Oh,
See the of the town that are included. There was one other silly one that was page 19. Is it supposed to be is or to? Page 19. I don't know why I noticed these dang little things. It's annoying to me to have to notice. The select board chair has the authority is issue or to issue. The select board chair has the authority to issue evacuation and or shelter in place orders. Believe it or not, those two little minor things.
yeah, Laura,
When I saw this,
Laurie
I
helped out big time. with-
I love the language, the detail. I mean, I trained with Rich. That to me is the only thing lacking in this town. When I first started with this town, we could go to the fire station. I could bring kids in my swimming program. We could get certified CPR.
Mhm.
No problem. Today, it's money, 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 and it's frustrating because even in this plan, it says, educate the community. Training, but the training comes at a price today.
Mhm.
And that, I don't know how to address that. Anybody else find that?
You can't really address that at this level because the people who do the certifications about 10 years ago switched into a cost recovery model and they quit giving away the training.
Yeah, Tim's right.
The American Red Cross and American Heart Association both made a drastic change to their programs.
I noticed that, especially with CERT too. It started with swimming and then it got harder with CERT. Oh, I miss that down home feel of going to the fire station with everybody and sitting there and, working
We do
together to
have-
build that.
We do have one of the provisions as a heart safe community. That is part of it to provide public education. So that would be a side conversation with the fire department.
Okay.
To continue that process because we have the signs on various points of entry into the town.
That was brought into the town under John Campus.
Yes, it was.
A lot of that is the cut back on funding, just like the healthcare stuff. They close all these small little hospitals and all this rural stuff, and they have no choice but this to charge so they can pay their instructors and buy the training materials, because that's all gone through the roof. There's not a lot of donation or giving from corporations and stuff like there used to be.
Mhm.
And even from local businesses, because a lot of that stuff is.
I
just gone
don't
away.
charge and I don't do reimbursements when I do my instructor certifications, but to teach basic CPR, advanced cardiac life
Said Red
support,
Cross used to do
and
that.
pediatric advanced life support. It costs me about $700 every 2 years out of my pocket. And it's like, you're gonna pay the price and get the cert, or you're gonna let it die its slow, painful death. No pun intended. Fortunately, it's a tax write-off.
With climate change and everything, I mean, this is.
Yep.
Might not be our generation, right? This, by the time.
I mean, I think Mike
But
did
it's
it.
going forward,
Yep.
it's critical.
And this-
CERT is critical. to
This also
maintain.
plays right hand in hand with, and Rich has been giving us indications all along. There is a MEMA plan to have this in place. And we are now that much closer to being in compliance, where a lot of communities aren't even this far along on this journey. So this is huge.
I can also add,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, I mean, I went through it and reviewed it. I think this is an area of expertise between our emergency management director and our chair of our board with his, I believe he got a master's in this actually. I think it's pretty good and we're fortunate that he took the time to put this together. So,
Me too.
and then outside of Terry's, a couple of things on a couple typos.
Yep.
I mean, it is a.
I see just three edits. So if we did vote on it, I see typo edits, record retention table.
Which we have, yep.
Fill it, which we have the data for that. And then there's on page 54, there's a mutual aid table. I would just, amend it to include any of the mutual aid agreements that we have as a list. I know that we got that list. So with those three things, if you wanted to adopt it tonight, you could. No way.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I move to approve the comprehensive emergency management plan with the corrections and edits as noted.
Second.
All right, you got a motion and a second to adopt our SEM. Any further discussions? Hearing none, on the motion to adopt the comprehensive emergency management plan with said typo edits, record retention table edits, and mutual aid table edits. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I am a resounding yes. Thank you, everybody. We
did it. Thank you for your talent.
I'm even gonna get your John Hancock's on it right now.
Thank you for your talent.
You're gonna send me those edits in the email. right?
You earned your
Okay,
500
good.
bucks, Mike.
I did.
Because I was like all over the place on that one.
It's very exciting. I can't wait to get this thing scanned and up on Rich's page.
And for the public knowledge that there is a contingency in there that if emergencies happen, we have a plan in place, but things don't, in an emergency, you don't know how things are gonna go, so you have the flexibility. And then there's always going to be a follow-up built in to improve or go over and figure out what went right, what went wrong.
You're always gonna deal with Mr. Murphy.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Sometimes you gotta punt.
And then there's the other man, Mr. O'Malley. He says Murphy was an optimist.
Yeah, doing great.
That's an old public safety.
Okay.
Fortunately, there's none on those sheets, so you can use those.
Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda. Julie? We've got discussion on grant writers.
We do. The board in the past looked at the possibility of grant writers. When I first came on to the Board of Selectmen, we did have a grant writer, part-timer in town. I feel that the need has come up again pretty strongly, and I'd like an update from the administrator on whether or not he's pursuing a grant writer.
So if I can, I am exploring having a consultant-based grant writer. It'd be obviously part-time, minimal hours, but at least to get something started where we could start going for other grants. Because obviously when we're in-house, we only have so many hours in the day. I think the town's been doing a pretty good job at going for grants, but I think this could be an opportunity for us to go for others. And maybe perhaps the in-house staff don't have the time to dedicate to whatever materials or the research necessary that a grant writer would have the experience writing. So I'm exploring a consultant basis appointment for that.
Great, thank you.
Within the budget I got, so.
Any further discussion?
That's just an absolute, it's a no-brainer. I mean, and it has been talked about, I mean, way back. It's always been talked about and tossed out there, but it's always been, well, we did have COG, they did a lot of the CDBG stuff, but outside of that, we've been getting, good at little grants, 60,000 here or there, or 10,000 over the years of 10, 15 years back, but a grant writer that will bring serious money, and there's a lot of it out there right now. And this is like, it's a no-brainer for the town to do it finally.
Well, and that's, Jeff, from that standpoint, I was with the grant writer and with all the projects, like we put in, you probably remember I put in for the application for Berry Road. Unfortunately, we didn't get that grant, but perhaps if somebody that has grant writing skills put in for it, it could have been a different outcome. So we're going to really look for grants, infrastructure grants that we could get for roads, in addition to what we're already doing now, putting resources into our roadways of, like I mentioned earlier, we're looking at $900,000 of, then we're also at the town meeting with that infrastructure stabilization account. So if we could get a couple of grants too, to do a couple of roadways, I think we can make some pretty substantial improvements in the town, and the residents then could drive on nice roads. So it's just one step at a time. As long as we make the town a better place each and every day, right?
Find it in the budget and we'll get ourselves a grant writer part-time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, we are 9:18, we are finished with new business. And we're moving into old business. The first item that we have is action related to the social media policy. So in your packet, you have a track changes copy. The edits from the last meeting were made and then they were reviewed, but did Ryan review it or?
I believe it was
Or Donna?
Attorney Rubin, I thought, reviewed it.
AR one.
Attorney Rubin, yeah.
AR.
Okay.
Out of town council's office.
Okay, so I just want to go through the edits that were made. So our edits were already changed by Holly. The first item under section 3 definitions, they made some omissions to the definitions that we did not use. So like if we were trying to say, if we had a definition hacked, for definition for hacked, and then we didn't use that word within there, they just removed it. And they recommended that we would alphabetize those definitions. The next item for your consideration is page 6 under account management. We had the language right at the end are pre-approved upon the enactment of this policy. The lawyer made the recommendation that the sites be reviewed to ensure that someone has control of the account identification and passwords. I could probably go either way with that. I think we've got, I think we have fairly good control now.
I mean,
So-
the town council just wanted to provide the input because it's really up to the policy making body and where they want to go with it. I just wanted to make sure they had an opportunity to go through it as well.
Does anyone have any feelings on that? Are we going to pre-approve or have a review? It
So
says-
he's saying pre-approved.
She.
Oh, she, yeah. She's saying pre-approved.
Well, so the spirit of that policy is to basically say, we have account management. However, because of the enactment of the social media policy, all existing, we were saying are pre-approved. That's what we said. And then the lawyer said, I think the better practice is not to pre-approve it, but to review the sites to make sure that someone has control.
I agree with that because
Yep.
wasn't there a problem when rec?
Okay, so the language, if you agree with what the lawyer said, would be all existing town social media sites and accounts will be reviewed to ensure that someone has control of the account identification and passwords.
Yeah, I like
Yes.
that. It's crucial.
Okay, and Holly, I can work it. I wrote that down. And the last item from the review is a section where it talks about the intellectual property. Lawyer basically said, this isn't the place where you're going to manage someone else's copyright infringement or otherwise. So I agree with that we would just strike that entire paragraph.
And then they also added section 13 too.
Yeah, that's important to me.
Oh, did I miss something?
It wasn't highlighted. I just wanted to add that.
That one was, I was glad that was in there. I respect Steve. He built up TCTV.
Steve, you're good with that? I'm good with it.
He built up TCTV.
I'm fine with that.
From the ground and.
Well,
I'm all right with that.
Well, because when we talk with town council, I mean, he has his own adjudicating board and state-run TV, we kind of get into a whole, there's certain
How do you
things.
get TCTV?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so we've got the changes noted. Going backwards, the addition of section 13, the removal of the paragraph in section 9 concerning intellectual property. Changed language to have a review of town media sites to ensure the control and account identification and passwords. And then finally, under definitions, to accept the things that we don't see, basically the words that we didn't use within the policy, and then just to alphabetize them. Oh, it looks like that was our.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they already did it. Okay.
And
Looks like I gotta go back to kindergarten.
But outside of that, I think it looks fine the way it is.
Yep.
I mean, with the exception of the changes the board just brought up, and we can make those updates.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Tim.
I move to approve the social media policy as discussed with the recommended changes and adjustments to the language for the chair to sign.
Motion,
Second,
I have a motion and a second.
this one question, do we
Of
have
course.
to state 13 is in there too now?
No, because it's already been
It's already
presented.
been presented.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Chair.
Yes,
So I did put in the motion for the chair to sign, but it's actually for the whole board. I have signatures for the whole board.
okay.
Or just.
I will amend my motion
Okay,
for the
thanks.
entire board to sign.
Second,
All right.
Good
Any
catch.
further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to approve the social media policy as presented with amendments and for the board to sign. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
yes,
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, everybody. Next, action related to old business is regarding the Juneteenth holiday. You've got presentation material in your packet and take it away, Terry.
I just figure it's a federal holiday, a state holiday. Would you want me to read what I wrote or?
No.
It's, you know, it is already a federal holiday. It's a state holiday. You know, it stands up against systemic racism and it's we also know how much it's gonna cost the town. It doesn't really directly affect the budget. It just gives people a day off. It affects the police and fire because they're 24/7. And I asked Kelly and she said that would be a cost of about $3,000 to $5,000 to add this holiday. The school, I reached out to them and they already have it on the list because Desi provided guidance for it. And they get out of school on the 17th, so it doesn't really impact their budget either.
And if I could just say, at some point, I mean, because it's recognized federal and the NRSD, they already adopted it, it's gonna become an issue for us. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't
punted.
accept it.
I don't know if everyone remembers, but we punted to find out how it was going to shake out.
Oh, yeah,
And-
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Good clarification there. It was so long ago.
Just a side comment to this, doing a little bit of research on my own on this as well. The Office of Personnel Management, when this first came out, had some pretty interesting guidance that if it happened to fall on a Saturday or a Sunday, so noted, move on. Federally, the current seated president decided to take the Friday prior, and that became the federal holiday. What was interesting was the very first federal agency who said, nope, we're not doing it, was the United States Post Office. And they used the argument, why do we want to take a day off when this is specifically here to recognize something? And by taking a day off, how are we honoring the people it was intended to recognize? And it's like, wow, that's got a little confusing. The other piece out of OPM was this becomes the 12th of 10 listed holidays that are considered floating holidays at the federal level. So there's 2 more days got tossed into the mix, but nobody really figured out how do you fund them. So it's, the more I read into it, the more confusing it became, and not nearly as bad as ARPA, but it was starting to get there.
That's true.
What I found interesting was Annette Gordon-Reed. She's a Pulitzer Prize winner that wrote on Juneteenth. It's a Black woman that grew up in Texas and experienced. She wrote a bunch of essays in there, but she was saying, now, why do I want to share my holiday? That was one of her comments. So she's an American history, studies American history, and she actually wrote the book because she was like surprised at her. And when I read that, and I went through it a few times, it's an audiobook, and to find the history of Texas, it is appropriate if you look at why Texas, Steve F. Austin founded Texas to begin with. You know, I could give you a book report on it, and it was founded on slavery. They wanted to copy what was happening in the South. And, you know, the Emancipation got signed, and then the 13th Amendment, but things don't come down the same through the generations, and it's, you know, a lot of people have, you know, sweat, blood and tears and, you know, put this together. And it's our turn. I think it's my turn. I have a choice to make to further what happened, you know, to correct what happened back then. To stand, take a stand and correct racism. Not to mention the grandmother, Opal Lee, walked 1,400 miles from her home in Fort Worth, Texas. She was a teacher and an activist. Opal Lee was a teacher and an activist whose dream for 4 decades was to make this a federal holiday. So at 89, she walked 1,400 miles from Fort Worth, Texas to the Washington, DC to promote her dream.
Wow.
And she's 94 today. So you know, I like that in the records too, just think it would,
Cool.
you know, commemorate.
With that, Terry, I will make a motion to approve adding the Juneteenth holiday to the town's personnel policy.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to approve adding the Juneteenth holiday to the town's personnel policy. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Nicely done. And the last item that we have on old business is a potential update from the RAC from Tim.
We do have an update.
All right.
We did meet on April 18th, even though it was the Patriot Day holiday. And we questioned that, but the meeting went on as planned. And we went a little longer than everybody anticipated, but I am pleased to say at the end of our lengthy meeting, and there were a lot of discussions and sidebars and agreeing to disagree, we finally got to the end of our 22 pages of language changes with some recommendations from the consultants, which was language they wanted DESI to see added. We made some other amendments and adjustments that were appropriate. The goal of that night was 100% participation with a supermajority vote to close the process. We did not attain that goal because we did not have enough members from the other member community. Be that as it may, we moved on with the process because we did have a quorum. And we were able to close our portion of the process as the Regional Agreement Amendment Committee. Our product was sent forward to the school committee. They get the final read and review, and they will be transmitting that to both DESI and each member community to the select boards for a review, and there will be one more discussion. One of the things that we added was a requirement for a 5-year review by the school committee with a 10-year to re-engage an RAAC. There was a lot of discussion on the abandoned school buildings because they were named. Should they be named? Should they not be named? That went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We finally came to a resolution on it. So I'm pleased to say after almost 19 months, the RAC has moved this one to the finish line, and now it's up to the school committee to kick it across and make a field goal.
Wow.
That's fantastic. Thanks for that.
So hopefully we can take RAC off of the organizational chart after the fiscal year.
Thanks, Tim. Any questions for Tim?
Hopefully that one will leave that building this time.
Yeah.
That was already discussed, and that was one of my early comments. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about pointing fingers, who did what, both communities signed it, it went to the school committee, it doesn't matter, it never made it to DESI, but how do we correct this and prevent it from recurring? So we had a long series of discussions on that all by itself. But it's like, phew, we're there.
Yeah, it's a long time coming.
It was.
All right, thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
I found the documents out. To go with your evaluation.
Oh, thank you.
All right, folks, that is the end of old business. Now 9:33, we're to board member and administrator comments and reports. Would anyone like to go first?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Just real quick, I heard a thing on NPR as I was driving in. It didn't come from CDC, but they had a voiceover and a clip of Anthony Fauci's talking, and the comment was made that the pandemic as we knew it was over and we were officially in endemic mode. And I was like, whoa, this is like breaking news. So that was a nice thing to hear. And totally off the charts a little bit, but something that I personally, as an Air Force member, am paying homage to. A veteran group that I follow and do some work with sent out a request earlier or at the end of last week. There's a gentleman is one of the remaining and surviving Tuskegee Airmen. And a bunch of us veterans are writing and sending him a birthday card. He turns 100 next month. And he wanted a whole bunch of birthday cards. And we all jumped on that and said, oh, hell yeah, we're gonna do this. So it's how old? He's turning 100. Wow. And there's only a handful of those folks remaining.
You want to say what that was?
Oh, the Tuskegee Airmen, for those that don't know, during World War II, it was an all-black flying unit. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. The ground crews, all the administrative support, the aviators, they were absolutely still in the segregation part of our nation's building. They were off to the side, but what they did, and you can do a Google search on the Red Tails and read all about them. There are volumes of information out there.
How appropriate for tonight.
Mhm. So I thought that was noteworthy and worth sharing. Absolutely. And I apologize, I was remiss at the start of the meeting. I should have asked for a moment of silence. Today was the ceremony for the former Secretary of State who passed last week or 2 weeks ago. But they were, it was the internment today. I don't know, all right.
I don't know. Moment of silence.
If you would, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that.
Julie. Folks, I did prepare something. I'm not loving leaving you guys or I'll just read what I have. To my esteemed elected colleagues, I have a few words that I'd like to share with you as I finish my term of elected service. I would first like to thank you for doing as I've done. You volunteered to serve your community and your fellow Templetonians. We have continually remarked how few people we have in our community that are willing to perform sometimes thankless jobs to ensure that we have a functioning, responsive, and efficient local government. I emphatically thank you and all that have volunteered for their evenings and days for their neighbors. Tonight, I would like to briefly share with you some thanks and hope for a continued prosperous town with many good people to make it that way. Together, we have spent many meetings together, 2, sometimes 3 a month, several joint meetings, appearances at other boards and committee meetings, budget meetings, and a few other official meetings or community events. As a minimum, we have spent about 156 hours of official planned meetings together working on licenses, budgets, roads, buildings, repairs, economic initiatives, insurance, and so many other topics. We talk, we listen, we act. The end result is an issue-packed warrant for our town meetings, several inch thick annual reports, and a few warm, really cold pizzas, and hours of YouTube and entertainment, thanks to TCTV. All in good faith and clear conscience to perform the work we were elected to do. I feel very good about what we have accomplished, and I know you are all on the right path for even more success. I believe I became a selectman at the right time for our community, as it was certainly a challenge these few past years in a pandemic, which is why it was so important to me tonight to pass the emergency management plan. What I failed to mention were the unofficial hours, the phone calls, office visits, the emails, the hours of research and sitting in front of my computer. These are important to acknowledge because it's necessary and it supports everything that we do. Because of the additional demands of a new position within the Air Force at Hanscom, I needed to rebalance my commitments and step away from elected service for a bit. Although my term is expiring, my commitment to you, my community, and the dedicated servants of Templeton is not expiring. You are my friends and my colleagues, and I will miss the frequency of our interaction, but I am, and I always will be, nearby to lend a hand for our town. Templeton, tough, always, and thank you. And folks, that's all that we got for select board comments tonight. Mr. Lamontagne.
You'll be missed. Enjoy your time. I know you really loved all those emails and you're really gonna miss getting those. But you did a good job while you're here, and we appreciate your service to the community, not only to your local community, but what you've done for your country as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam. We got something for both of you right after, so no one go in place. All right, folks, that brings us to the end. I would entertain a motion to, what's the next meeting is?
May 25th.
Town meeting is May 11th, 6 o'clock in the auditorium. This Monday, not this Monday, 2 Mondays, May 9th is River's Edge Conservation, not ground.
Yeah, you're gonna be back with the state delegation again.
Absolutely, a lot of fun. That's at 10 o'clock down in Baldwinville Center. Next meeting, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, all those, let me do a roll call. All those in favor of adjourn. There, I was gonna put it in my mouth at least one.
You're getting tears coming out of your eyes.
On the motion to adjourn, how do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Good night.